Did I stutter?
He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams!
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The 2011 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Robert Griffin III, RG3!
Welcome to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Langoliers, base hit to center, and the Baylor Bears win their first Big 12 tournament championship.
Their fat little girlfriends are telling them what they want to hear, which is how great you are.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Yep, just ready for OU.
You can't handle the truth.
Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome into Up Tempo. What a way to start the Wednesday. How about it? Baylor men's basketball Big 12 tournament. Tourney kicks off today. The ball is tipped. And there you are. And running for your life. You know what that is? You know what that is?
Is that Michael Jackson?
No.
One shining moment,
no,
Michael
it's
Jackson.
Not. Michael Jackson's no longer with us.
Luther
Dead or alive,
Vandross.
Michael Jackson. No, that's
bad luck. It's bad luck.
That's what you were. I didn't know that. Is that a thing? I didn't know it was bad luck to watch One Shining Moment during March.
Once March starts, you must not watch One Shining Moment until either your team loses or you're watching it because they're cutting down the nets.
Is it during the month of March or once the tournament starts?
During the month of March.
Okay, so we're a couple of days into that.
If you watch it now, you will curse Baylor.
Fudge. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We cannot watch One Shining Moment.
To know.
But it's out there.
Either your team loses and then you're free to watch, right?
Singing though is good luck from what I've heard.
Or you're watching it because Baylor's winning and it's that much better because you haven't seen it all month.
There's a video.
This holiday locked in.
Armstrong may have this video. It's in our little Twitter. You guys know at home that 94% of our content comes from this little group message we have that's on our Twitter DMs that we just send each other tweets.
It's a lot of content.
And that is how, oh, mama. Also, if you have that now, that's stuck in my head too. It's a championship game. But
there's so many just one-liners.
Yeah, Up Tempo is just, we've been through a lot together already.
For the people,
guys.
by the people, through Twitter.
By the people, too. Phone line's open, 254-339-1122. I'm referring to the ball is tipped. Fran Frascilla's post today on the old Twittersphere. And yes, phone lines are open. But this right here, Armstrong, whenever he's got it, is a video that Fran Frascilla posted today of him in Kansas City at the Big 12 tournament. Texas Tech warming up to start their trek in Kansas City.
How about it? chills, doesn't it?
He did. He put that on Twitter and said they gave him chills.
Oh, really? I'm thinking if you're a player, you're warming up in the arena, and you hear that.
Armstrong feels dirty. So Armstrong tells us that Texas Tech's going to lose out of the NCAA tournament pretty early now. Because of that, solely because of that.
Yeah.
But we've also learned that. Here's how I see that. Right, Texas Tech lost to Virginia in the national championship. Right.
Yeah.
So they're walking off the floor just dejected after a close, tight loss in the Natty, and all they hear is one shining moment, and it's the Virginia players on the board, and so they're the defending national runner-up, Texas Tech. So if I'm Chris Beard, we're in the stadium practicing, you're putting up shots, I'm blaring one shining moment.
It's got to be PTSD, too.
Flashbacks.
Like flashbacks. Yeah. I think it really tells you, like, okay, are our kids soft? Like, do they hate when this song comes on and they're like, gosh dang it, remember we lost in the championship game, Alex?
It's a championship game, Alex.
Or are they like, oh, let's freaking go. Like, let's go get buckets. So I don't know. I think it's we're going to find out what Texas Tech is made out of based on that clip. They've been exposed to some one shining moment. Are they immune to the curse? I don't know.
And now we have Jim Boeheim. Oh, Jim Boeheim's on the TV.
The game started.
They let him on TV now?
Is he?
I mean,
they're letting he did kill a man.
I go back and forth between how much I can joke about this. I'm like, because don't get me wrong, like the clip is loaded. Like there is no shortage of ammo. Like we could do this for an hour if we wanted to. But I don't know. Also, Jim Boeheim's kid went to Cornell and was like on the team.
What?
And so when it happened, I was like,
Buddy?
Not my friend. I had friends who were his friends, mutual friends.
Not as in Buddy, as in Buddy's his name.
Buddy is
Buddy.
No,
I think
it's another son.
It's other Boeheim. Which one?
That's what
he didn't
named
recruit
him.
his kid to come to Syracuse. Don't know if that's true, but he didn't go play for his dad. Two, I was like asking guys that knew him. I was like, hey, is he okay? Like that's a pretty crazy thing to have happen in your family.
That is.
I think he was. I mean, I think he obviously is okay now, but
it's not okay.
I don't know if that's. All right. We're just like taking it up. We're just taking the top off.
His car.
Oh no!
I walk in the studio today, and Armstrong goes, "Buddy Boeheim, ugh." You know that guy's dad killed a man. Steven from Virginia, Impact Health Labs call line. You're on with Up Tempo. I'm sweating right now. The FCC does not like us.
We're so close.
Hey guys.
Hey Steven.
I'm glad that y'all are talking about Syracuse. My best friend is a diehard Syracuse fan. And so I checked in on him a couple of weeks ago.
Diehard Syracuse fan.
I said, I want to ask you if Syracuse is good, but I feel like a better way to answer that question is Buddy Boeheim still playing 30 minutes plus a game?
Yeah.
Good question.
So that's tough. But I wanted to bring two topics to y'all. First, I wanted us to poke a little bit of fun at Doug Gottlieb because I'm sure y'all watched that BYU Gonzaga game. And Doug Gottlieb is the only person on earth that watched this game and came out of it and said, I think that I would pick Gonzaga against the field after they struggled against BYU.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And he's, Armstrong is an expert on this kind of stuff, so I defer to him. So I'll say that he's either the biggest idiot in college basketball or the second biggest idiot, depending on what Dan Dockich has said recently.
Interesting. Wow. Armstrong, thoughts?
But
That's true.
He speaks I heard Armstrong laughing, so I know he agrees. That was a solid laugh.
Yeah. That was a resounding, that was an agreeable laughter.
I do want to say that I wanted to talk about this Kansas situation a little bit because I think it's really bad for the conference. First of all, the basketball coach is in hot water, and I would almost bet that on Kansas to make it to the Final Four, no matter who's in their bracket now, because he has no pressure on him. He's looking at them, and he's like, well, there's nothing in my emails. I'm not worried about anything.
Yeah.
Look, I don't have journalistic integrity, so I can say that.
Love it.
But, I think you're looking at this football program, and the next person who ever wins 4 games at Kansas deserves an extension because they've won only 3 games 3 times in the last 12 years.
Yeah.
And I would really like to see them hire Army's Jeff Monken because Jeff Monken would triple option style.
Yeah.
He would bring toughness and physicality, and I think he would be glad to be there, and he would stay. And it would bring stability to the program. And I also wonder if the athletic director is the next to go. And I want to ask y'all Bear games and then get y'all's opinion on that. First, I want to ask Drake, is there a Drake song you have ever heard of? If so, please name it.
Oh, my gosh. Blessings on blessings on blessings.
So he's featured on that with Big Sean.
We can't call it a Drake song?
That's not his
I guess
song.
it does eventually end up being his song. Once it's featured, it is Drake's song.
Uncultured swine.
But
we'll let that go. And then second, I want to ask JD.
Swine.
My second favorite rapper to Drake is Wale. Who is
Interesting. So I think we're going to differ here. I like Wale. I don't know a ton of Wale's stuff. Right now, I'm big on Jack Harlow. I think Jack Harlow is hot right now. He's hilarious. Long term, like
Armstrong and I were just talking about that.
Never heard
whole body of work. Jack Harlow, what's popping?
Never even
Brand new
heard.
Jack Harlow.
I have to be honest, after I heard y'all on Music Monday, there's nothing that I doubt more than the fact that you and Armstrong were just talking about that.
Okay, Armstrong, you kind of look like Jack Harlow. I'm not going to lie.
Please answer this Kansas question because I would love to get y'all's opinion on that.
We'll do it. Also, the Bear Games question of the day today, how long before Kansas has a winning record in the Big 12 football?
In football?
Yep.
That's a good question.
That's something that I don't even know if we can predict. To be honest, I kind of feel like if they don't make the right hire that they might never be competitive again and they might have to drop down a division and the Big 12 could suffer the way the Southwest Conference did when SMU went through their problems. So that's where I'm at with that. It's a really important hire. So I'll let y'all go. Take it easy, guys.
Bye.
Steve,
Thanks for your call, Steve from Virginia. We got another call on the Impact Health Labs caller line. This from Hondo, Texas, says need of men's basketball. So typically the thing doesn't work, but we're gonna roll with it. See what we got here. Caller, you are live with Up Tempo.
Hey guys, my take for men's basketball, like our starting five is gonna be the starting five. I think the key in Kansas City and the tournament is gonna be Flagler. Like, him coming off the bench is going to be crucial.
Would you say, so a question for you, I think in any game where Matthew Meyer puts up 18, Baylor is going to win. In any game that Adam Flagler puts up 18, I also think Baylor is going to win. Do you think there's separation between those two guys that makes one of them better, more deadly, a bigger threat in Kansas City than the other?
I think Meyer's gonna have his good days, have his bad days. We've come to know that. I think once he becomes a starter next year, he'll become more consistent. But until we see that, I think Flagler is going to be the key.
I'm with you. I think this Baylor team, we've talked about it all season long. The best asset they have, in addition to their talent, is the depth. Like even in the starting five, you have five guys that can give you double figures every single night. Maybe not Flo, but I mean, for the most part, you have guys that can score. And so if you can get one guy, whether it's Meyer, whether it's Flagler, if you can get one of those guys to get you double digits, you think you're in pretty good shape. And I don't see them losing a game where you get four guys in your starting five double digits and a guy off the bench in double digits. I think that's going to be huge going forward.
Caller, what's your name?
G-Dub on Twitter.
G-Dub.
Yes, sir.
Oh, G-Dub, let's go. Come on, man.
I didn't know you were real.
Wow, that's not a burner. I thought it was Armstrong hyping us up the whole time.
That's awesome.
Wow. G-Dub, all right. I want to know then, if there's one weakness.
No kick.
Thanks for calling in, G-Dub. This is awesome.
If there's one weakness that Baylor may have on the basketball side of things, what do you think it would be?
I love Flo, but I think it's got to be Flo.
Yeah.
I would love to see JTT start, but is Flo a junior or is he a senior?
Yeah, Flo's a junior. Flo's a junior. Yep.
Okay.
He wasn't honored on senior night, so we get Flo back.
So think about this rotation for next year. You get Flo, JTT, Loveday, and then you got Kendall Brown coming in too.
Yep.
And Meyer.
So
Meyer
and Meyer.
Pretty big.
So we could have the potential to be an all. I'm not saying we're not an all-around team this year, but we could really have the potential to have an all-around team next year.
My boy Mark Patterson comes back. I'm just saying. We can make it happen.
Boy, there's a will, there's a way.
make it
Baylor
happen.
is yet to lose a game where Mark Patterson scores.
That's a fact?
That's a fact.
This is a fact. Get
that man some minutes.
G-Dub, how many years until Kansas has a winning record in Big 12 football?
Oh, dude.
Yeah. I know.
The limit does not. The years do not exist.
They don't. The world will implode by then.
Because it does, to me, it doesn't matter who they hire. You would have to hit on so many JUCO guys. You have to hit on so many JUCO guys and have the right staff. I'm just saying, Tom Herman to Kansas.
Oh, what if? What if? Hey, G-Dub, thanks for your call, man. Great to hear from you.
What?
Great to hear from you, man. Thanks for your call.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
The man,
Absolutely.
G-Dub.
Wow.
Has he called before?
I don't think so.
That was awesome.
I don't think so.
According to the phone call screening software, he's never called.
First time caller, long-time listener.
He's really true. He's really active on Twitter, and I think he gives a lot of great tweets. But I'm just like,
he does.
You just have people you're not sure if they're like actually real people or if
it's a burner account.
It's a burner.
Is Baylor Bigfoot a real Bigfoot? That question can be posed.
He said Berlin Bigfoot in one of the post games, so I think he might be international.
Yeah, I think he might be. I think that's it.
Which is because probably cost him quite a bit to call into the show. Not to mention with time, like the time change is probably ridiculous.
Time.
I got time.
Oh my gosh.
We're here.
How about Scotty B with the up-to-date Baylor?
Oh my gosh, Scotty B, the Baylor King. Listen, one of my friends sent me a text yesterday. She went to the AT&T store, and there was a guy there. If you're listening, I bet he's listening. I hope he's listening. His name was Jeff. He's an employee at the AT&T store, right? Well, they were striking up a conversation. Somehow they got to the where we were mutual friends. Like,
oh wow,
she had mentioned something about the show. Maybe he was listening to it in the store. I didn't get that part, but somehow they got to myself and this.
Hype.
And he was like, "Wait a second, Drake Toll, like the show Up Tempo." And she was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I listen to Up Tempo every day, like Drake and J.D. Like, Up Tempo." She was like, "Yeah, no, like the SicEm365 show." And he was like, "No, that's my ish."
Oh,
Jeff
cool.
is his name, an employee at the AT&T store.
Oh, shout out Jeff.
Let's
go, Jeff.
Yep.
What's up, Jeff?
Thanks, Jeff.
And he turns 30 in 2 weeks.
Really?
I caught that tidbit too. So you know what, Jeff?
Happy birthday. Happy
Jeff,
belated.
You should call in.
Jeff, you should call in. Jeff now has to prove that he is real as well.
Yeah.
We are proving who is real and who is fake today. Yeah. But you know, speaking of, we haven't heard any homies and haters in a while.
I know, man. I think we're summoning him.
It's
kind of like UT Mike. Like if you say their name on the air, it happens.
Baylor Bigfoot's anonymity is gone, apparently.
Yeah.
No.
I have heard that there are people in the world that know who Baylor Bigfoot is.
You know what my first thought was when y'all said that? Was the Incredible scene. They're out there somewhere. living among us. That's Baylor Bigfoot right now.
That is Baylor.
Dang. Yeah. Well, who blew his cover?
Well, I don't know.
Do y'all know who it is?
I've heard some rumors.
I know who it is.
I don't want to say it on the air because, like, keeping as a nominated.
Well, you going Nemo now?
Anemone.
Oh, you made me ink.
Well, I think making him, you still don't know who he is part of it.
As part of the shtick.
We don't want to say it on the air, but
the shtick. Okay. Yeah, we can't. That's the thing. Listen, I'll say this: he was anonymous for so much longer than he should have been. Like that. Now having a good idea who Baylor Bigfoot is, he was anonymous far longer than I wouldn't be able to keep that up.
And being in Germany too.
Berlin.
I mean, having done it from Berlin.
You know who else
makes it that much more impressive.
We're just doing this is one of those episodes. You ever watch a TV show and they get like a season or two in, and then they have like one of those episodes where they just replay old things.
Like when the HR guy comes for, or not HR, the guy from what's it called, the glorified corporate fact checker or whatever.
Yeah. When they're hello Robocon.
Hey, Copytron. What is the biggest ocean? Computing.
Yes, that same concept. That's today because think about like Baylor Bigfoot, T-Rex. Is T-Rex a real dinosaur? That question can be posed.
Yeah, I don't know.
No more homies and haters. The things that we've gone through in the show that are no longer with us. The distant memories.
It's been quick.
It's been quick. Gone but not forgotten. R.I.P. Just killed the club.
We've fallen out of perfecting schlag.
Know who else got killed? Jeez.
Oh, gosh.
Syracuse on top of NC State, 22-12 right now. Did you guys watch? All right, Stephen from Virginia asked us about Kansas and the dumpster fire of the football program that Kansas is going through right now. So I tell you what, we're going to hit a break right here. When we come back, it's all things Kansas football and whatever is going on in Lawrence because there's a whole lot to unpack from it. I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. Pickell. Armstrong Sims. This is Up Tempo.
With your Ram truck from Allen Samuels, you may not have to plow through snow and mud or pull heavy loads, but you could. During the Big Finish year-end event, you get a Ram deal like no other. Employee pricing for all, 0% for 84, no payments for 90 days. Ram 1500 Lone Star for Christmas. No other truck comes close. And ask about Big Finish pricing on Ram Heavy Duty and Ram ProMaster for your business. Happy holidays from Allen Samuels.
It is March, and March is mad. Big dance time or not, things are already wild. To start, Notre Dame's Trey Wirtz hit a buzzer-beating three-pointer to erase a once 16-point deficit and knock off Wake Forest in round one of the ACC tournament 80-77. Elsewhere, Miami upset Pittsburgh 79-73. Duke dropped Boston College 86-51. Southeast Louisiana upset McNeese 71-68. Mount St. Mary's upset Bryant 73-68. Oral Roberts upset North Dakota State 75-72, and Houston Baptist routed Incarnate Word to notch a 80-68 upset. But even games that weren't upset were close, with Gonzaga trailing BYU 53-41 before pulling out an 88-78 win over BYU. And Gonzaga, Cleveland State, Oral Roberts, Mount St. Mary's, and Drexel officially punched their tickets to the tournament last night. And on the women's side, number 16 Gonzaga hit a buzzer beater to knock off BYU 43-42. And number 20 South Florida snuck past Wichita State 48-44. And the Big 12 tournament kicks off tonight at 5:30 with Kansas State facing TCU and Iowa State, Oklahoma to follow. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. It's been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
With your Ram truck from Allen Samuels, you may not have to plow through snow and mud or pull heavy loads, but you could. During the Big Finish year-end event, you get a Ram deal like no other. Employee pricing for all, 0% for 84, no payments for 90 days. Ram 1500 Lone Star for Christmas. No other truck comes close. And ask about Big Finish pricing on Ram Heavy Duty and Ram ProMaster for your business. Happy holidays from Allen Samuels.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for holiday favorites for parties and the time with family. Various specials available in-store and online. A variety of steak gift boxes with 4 ribeyes for $70, 4 bacon wrap fillets for $55, or 4 New York strips for $50, and all come with steak butter. Fall snack box for watching a game or wrapping presents or hosting people at your house, including summer sausage, split horn, and jalapeno cheese, and salted crackers for only $35. 2 pieces of lobster tails with herb butter and 2 2 bacon-wrapped fillets for $60. Order online or call in advance to ensure availability, or drop by Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive. Waco Custom Marketplace has a full-service butcher shop for customized orders or cuts of your favorite steaks or beef tenderloin or specially ordered prime rib roast. Plus, what you want with pork, poultry, seafood, and more. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Sit down, Bob. I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll and J.D. Pickell for the Blonde Boys Power Hour.
Let's go.
Come on.
Welcome
back into the Penny Clinic Low T studio.
Let's go.
If you like it today, you're going to like it tomorrow. You're going to like it for all the days, because that is the new intro.
Credit to you to put that masterpiece together and Armstrong queuing it up. I'm just along for the ride over here, man.
I'm going to go credit to me. Somebody asked me, they were like, somebody asked me last night, they were like, hey, so, you're doing all that intro stuff. You know, like, has JD been helping out with that? And I was like,
Who is this?
Yeah, a little bit. One of my friends, Jeff from the AT&T store.
Asked about the intro
AT&T Jeff.
Oh, and
yeah.
Jeff.
If Jeff called in, that would make my day. We already had G-Dub.
Jeff's
Flippin' G-Dub called the show today.
Can you hear me now? Is that Verizon?
I think it's Sprint now.
Is it Sprint?
It was Verizon, and Sprint bought the guy. And so, yeah, this is a little remix right here for Elise.
I like it.
That's a game today. I will send an ice shaker. I will send an ice shaker to someone that can name the reference, the movie, the whatever, to every rejoin that we have today. If the first person texts me that.
That's the first one.
Yeah, the first one.
I'm saying that's the first.
This is the first one.
Yes,
that was the first rejoin.
Okay,
so it was I'm not happy, Bob.
Yeah.
Not happy. You have until 2:10 to text 254-339-1122. And you win an ice shaker. The first person to send all of the rejoins, what makes the popular culture reference from each rejoin. All right, today, Kansas football. So Les Miles. Someone tweeted, no, Les Miles. And it was LESS Miles. Yeah. So, also, I think the parlay is going to hit. If we're looking all right.
Okay.
We're looking all right.
Well, parlay party in here in the studio.
So, basically, Kansas fires Les Miles due to allegations that come out.
Hey, mutually agreed to part ways.
They were like, hey, it'd probably be best for both of us since we're all, we're all friends here. Let's just, So, Kansas decides, hey, Les Miles, you're done.
Right.
You're done. You're no good. You're no good, duck.
See ya.
You're just
Kick
like
rocks.
your father. So they kicked Les Miles out of the college football program. And breaking news, they just hired Mangino.
Stop.
I wish. Can you imagine? I know you're a big Mangino guy. He took them to a BCS bowl. They beat Virginia Tech.
That would be hysterical.
2007 Kansas won 13 games.
He looks like Coach Doug's, like the Barstool figment that is Coach Doug's. He looks
shorter.
He looks a lot like he could take a punch.
Mangino is a more compact man. Also, complete different tangent. Rudy Gobert, a year ago yesterday, touched the microphone.
I saw that. That's funny.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's funny.
What the world changed that day. But Kansas, nothing really comes of it.
Right.
Kansas AD Jeff Long says, we ran multiple background checks on Coach Miles, which is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like if someone hires, like when Dave Aranda was hired here, where they this guy's a Division I defensive coordinator. We got to do a bunch of background checks. The guy's a Division I head coach. You shouldn't have to do any background checks.
Right.
Like he should just be clean.
Yeah.
So we ran multiple background checks before hiring him. He says, this is Jeff Long, the AD at Kansas, which Jeff Long was at Arkansas for a while, says Jeff Miles directly asked Jeff Long directly asked Les Miles if there was anything in his background that could embarrass the school and received, and I quote, no indications of issues. Mm-hmm. Long would then go on to say later in the press conference, someone asked him, they're like, hey, so why should you pay Les Miles the rest of his contract when he lied in 2018 about having something in his background that could embarrass Kansas. And then Jeff Long says it's debatable whether Miles lied.
Yeah. Jeff Long seems like a sketchy character to me. Like, as a whole, Jeff Long, this is the same Jeff Long that hired Bobby Petrino.
Hey.
Yes. He is. Bobby Petrino. We all know how that turned out. Not so great. So right now, in my mind, Jeff Long, as far as I know, is 0 for 2. And then I think you sent the other video of him during the press conference. He was so shook. A reporter said, why should we trust you? Why should Kansas fans trust you to make the next hire? He's like, well, I've been involved in a lot. He basically just said, I've been around here a long time in like 7 different ways that was just like kind of made you feel uncomfortable. There's a lot of facets to this, right? Like the very first thing that we need to acknowledge is like at the end of the day, several young women felt uncomfortable because of what Coach Miles did. So like, that's something that we need to acknowledge and just right off the bat say that is the worst part of this whole thing. The second part is Les Miles didn't technically lie to Jeff Long, and he was still like, yeah, you're still my boy. Here's the keys to our program. We're horrific anyway. Also, I think this was like probably a year delayed. Like he probably wasn't getting another year. I don't think Kansas was going to be good again this upcoming year. 3 years, you're still not good. They wouldn't have had much improvement. I mean, I don't know that he was going to get much more time than what he had. Like I think they were banking on him being better earlier because they did the whole ESPN Plus Miles to go follow them. Like they were thinking, okay, we're going to kind of turn this thing around. We got the Mad Hatter. They did have some good players in place. Like Pickell was a dog. Parchment was a dog. Who else did they have? They had a decent quarterback that past year, but they've lost to Coastal Carolina 2 years in a row. You can't lose to Coastal Carolina 2 years in a row, even if Coastal Carolina is Coastal Carolina right now. It's just still a bad look though. Even the first year, to lose to them back-to-back years, I think he wasn't going to get another year anyway. I think this comes a year early, and it just looks bad for Les Miles long term.
I think Les Miles would have gotten a year or two left because you got to understand the relationship between Jeff Long and Les Miles is really solid. Those boys are tight. Long offered Les Miles the job when he hired Brett Bielema. This is the middle of Les Miles winning championships at LSU. Long's at Arkansas, calls Miles and says, hey, we want to offer you the job at Fayetteville to come to leave LSU, come to Arkansas. The only reason that Long did that, he made that call, was to get Les Miles a promotion and more money at LSU, a new contract at LSU. Those guys know each other that well. My problem here is Jeff Long saying like, oh no, yeah, we asked Les Miles, which like, what a weird question. Like, hey buddy.
Yeah.
Is there anything in your past that might come back to bite us? And then you're the guy on the other side and you're like, yeah, well, I did some stupid stuff in high school. Like, what do you expect the guy to say? Yeah. Like, you're about to hand him $5 million a year and he's going to just incriminate himself?
Your reference can't be the source that you're trying to get a reference on.
Right.
You can't be a reference for yourself. Right. I know they're good old boys, but like that just doesn't optically look good at all.
It not, which I guess fine. You asked that question to be cool and whatever. And also, like, would you ever go to one of your friends that you're about to hire a friend to work for your lawn care business? You're like, hey man, I've done a bunch of background checks on you.
Right.
But is there anything else that you may have done that's bad? Like, that's a weird thing to ask your buddy. So I don't know. I don't know if I believe that Jeff Long looks him in the eyes and is like, ask them if there's anything that can embarrass you. And here's why I don't believe that. Because later on when a reporter's like, okay, if you asked Les Miles that, and he said no, and now there's this, you shouldn't have to pay him anything when you fire him.
Right.
But then Jeff Long's like, well, it's debatable if he lied. Did Les Miles, did he or did he not, look Jeff Long in the eyes and say, there's nothing in my background that can embarrass us? If he said, well, there is this, and then it comes out that, he's been doing inappropriate things with young women, well then, why are you hiring the guy?
Yeah.
I think this right here now is entirely on Jeff Long when you find out that Jeff Long had some premonition, by his words, if you piece together what Jeff Long said, had some premonition, if Les Miles didn't lie to him, that Long knew Miles had a dark past or this kind of past.
Any way you slice it, Jeff Long is in the wrong. Because either he's lying, that conversation never happened, or he knew there was something fishy that he didn't want to press into because that was his boy. And he's like, you're my guy, whatever, we're boys, whatever you did, can't be that bad. I'm going to look the other way and let this happen. So either way, the blame falls on Jeff Long. In addition, obviously, to Les Miles for his actions, but for him being on board at Kansas, 100% on Jeff Long. I mean, you got to know who you're bringing in-house. Also, I should say, I don't think anything like this would show up on a background check. Like, I don't think he was criminally charged with anything. I don't think there was anything that was, like, reported on a government level or anything that was
did they do an investigation at LSU before? I don't think the investigation started till now, right?
I thought the investigation was going on in 2014, but I don't know if anything was filed. So I think there was, like, over the course of several years, like, this wasn't just something they threw together in the last few weeks. We're like, hey, we heard some weird stuff. Y'all want to talk about it? I think it was like, hey, Les is kind of a creepy dude, kind of doing some weird stuff. We're winning a lot of games, but like, will y'all come check it out? And like, yeah, you're winning a lot of games right now, so we're going to keep it hush-hush. I think it was literally like, was it Hush Blackwell was the name of the company that I think did it, which is a great name if you're going to be.
Hush Blackwell, yep.
Anyway.
Yep. So
bad deal.
LSU's athletic director in 2013 said to King Alexander, President F. King Alexander, hey, I think you guys should fire Les Miles after the investigation. The investigation was done in 2013.
Okay.
So now I don't understand why Jeff Long's making that hire if 2013 and it was big enough in 2013 that did anybody know about this? Like I don't think anybody just slid this on the table. Yeah. I can guarantee you, listen, folks, piece it together, the fact that Jeff Long says that he looked at Les Miles and asked him if there was anything in his background that could embarrass the school. And then then Jeff Long received no indication of issues, right? Later on in the press conference, goes on to say that, well, it's debatable as to whether or not Les Miles lied to me.
Yeah.
Well, what did Les Miles tell you?
Just the kiss of death.
When you looked at him then.
The worst thing could have said.
What did you... So this entirely falls on Jeff Long. I don't believe that he asked him, is there anything that could embarrass us? Especially after saying he ran multiple background checks. He should know, too, that this happened in 2013. If you're hiring a football coach and you do a thorough investigation to him, then you should know that happened in 2013. And if you do know that, then you don't hire the guy. And if you do know that and you do hire the guy, you address it immediately and you allow the coach to address that.
Without question. And LSU is a big enough program. The college football world is small enough and LSU is big enough to where this can't have been LSU probably knew what was going on in the LSU community. And I would imagine people that were within that network probably knew too. So now we're talking about, is Ed Ogeron going to be on the hook? Like, is Ed Ogeron going to be fired if he has one bad season? Like, if they lose 5 games, Ed Ogeron's out. Like, Ed Ogeron, your leash is even shorter than it was a year ago. To start the year to end the year because of the way they played so poorly. So much going on, so much to unpack with that. It really is just a dumpster fire, and sad to see that this is sort of the way that all these adults, grown men that are supposed to be some of the most trusted people in your athletic department, the people that are handling over 110 grown men that are supposed to be leaders in your not only your community but your school. It just is a debacle by all accounts. They dropped the ball, completely dropped the ball.
I mean, there was there have been allegations against Ed Ogeron for an inappropriate relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, those have been out there, and he got a divorce pretty recently after the national championship win. I mean, there are things in college athletics that go down that are swept under the rug that we will never know about. Yeah. But this is a situation where LSU conducted an investigation that has gone public. People know about, folks know about. They still hired Les Miles without addressing it. And now Jeff Long comes out and is like, well, there was zero indication that Les Miles had ever done anything bad. And someone's like, well, then he lied to you when you asked him if he'd done anything bad. And they're like, well, he didn't actually lie to me.
Right.
Well, then there must have been an indication there that he did something bad.
And how desperate do you have to be if you're Kansas? To just absolutely, literally sell your soul, sell your good name, your reputation, and just be like, I hope, assuming Jeff Long knew something was kind of sketchy, which we're assuming if he's he didn't technically lie. He had some idea something was sketchy, and he's just probably the whole time if we can just win some football games, this will all go away. And Kansas continued to be Kansas, and obviously their bet completely did not pay off. So, I mean, good. I'm glad this is out. Good riddance. This is completely. I hope this all runs its course. And I mean, you feel bad that this is the way this is all happening after such a great career by Les Miles, but I mean, you reap what you sow, man. At the end of the day, you reap what you sow. Same for Jeff Long.
That's the thing. Is if I'm thinking about one of my friends. One of my best girlfriends is a babysitter for one of the coaches on the coaching staff. You trust that coach, whether they be at Baylor, at LSU, wherever, whether they be at Tarleton State, I don't care. You trust that coach who has a program, a family, a spouse, these things to uphold, that they would adhere to that and have enough morality that their values be strong enough, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So when I think about my friends in that situation where they're just babysitting this dude's kid, and they're probably they think it's the coolest thing in the world. My gosh, I get to babysit Les Miles' kid, the Mad Hatter. And then he uses his power to do stuff like that. That's just, I don't care how good you are at football, winning football games, how good of a coach you are. That's not cool.
Just cowardly.
Cowardly. And I don't, look at the Louisville program with Rick Pitino and what happened there. And then they rehire Bobby Petrino, who had done, I don't want to say worse necessarily, but the atrocity at Arkansas was bad. Was bad. I mean, he just. Then you hire. What does that say about your athletic program?
Yeah.
I don't want to be LSU right now. No. Look at their basketball programs going through the absolute water with the FBI. The FBI investigation. Yeah. Come on.
How are they going to recruit? Think about Kansas football. I mean, there are guys that we covered this past season in high school football that are signed to go play at Kansas. Like, they've already signed the letter of intent. They are locked in legally to go play at Kansas this next fall. And right now, all this comes out. Your head coach is slimy. There's all this stuff going on in the program. Even if you're at LSU, all this stuff has been going on in the program, and this is like the reputation that you're taking. You have to shake that now. You have to probably look at transfer options, but you have a whole year where you have to stay in this program. That's not fair to these 18-year-olds. Like, we got to figure something out about this NCAA, because that's got to change.
Hey, Mark Mangino is out of a job. The man has not been a football coach since 2015. He is on the market. Come on, Kansas.
Who do you like for that job? Is there someone that you like? I know it's just happened 48 hours ago.
Here's the deal, man. I wouldn't wish that job on my worst enemy. I don't want. That's the thing, is I can't name a football coach that I like and respect that I would want to go be under Jeff Long at Kansas. I used to be a huge Jeff Long guy, but man, the buck stops here.
Yeah,
like the buck. There has been enough now where it's like that. That's just tough.
He's got to be on the chopping block, right? Like, he's got to be the next to go. I would guess within the next month. Within the next month, he's probably out. You think it's that quick, or you think maybe they give him another season?
The guy was on the
how
top
quickly
of
is that going to happen?
He was the first ever commissioner of the playoff committee. He was the commissioner of the playoff. I mean, he's the head of playoff committee. I mean, the guy is he's done some good stuff out there. Yeah. You know, don't get me wrong. I used to be a very big Jeff Long fan, but at this point, I cannot get behind that. Yeah. I cannot get behind. I think, again, I would not wish that on my worst enemy.
Yeah,
and so
not even Tom Herman.
Not even Tom Herman. Not even. Like, I kind of feel bad for Tom Herman now. It's like I just want to I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The guy was so successful at Houston. I feel like Texas didn't ruin him necessarily, but just what a tough stop for that guy.
Tough way to go.
We got Matt in DC on the Impact Health Labs caller line. Matt in DC, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Nice three-point foam finger you got there.
Thanks. That's Richard.
That's awesome.
He pays homage to the memorabilia every single time. Yeah. You're gassing us up on the memorabilia. I appreciate that.
Got flowers today.
Yep. I just wanted to jump in. I think the Les Miles thing is horrible, and it's a whole mess. But I think what y'all were forgetting is the reason they settled with him was because you can't be fired from a job for something you did at another job. Like, I think the reason they came to the settlement was because while he's been at Kansas, he hasn't technically violated any rules.
Gotcha.
So if they were to try to fire him, he would go to court, win, and Kansas will be dragged, have to pay legal fees, and they're still going to win because his argument's going to be, I committed no crimes, and then Kansas would have to prove that you fired me for something that happened at LSU that still was unproven. So I think that's probably why they had to settle with him, because it was going to cost them even more. I mean,
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
What happened? We lost him?
No, man.
Oh, I think that was on our end too, wasn't it? With the call-in studio? He dropped?
No, he just dropped.
It dropped? The call-in studio dropped?
That's a great point by Matt.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I didn't realize that, but I guess you can't be fired from something you did allegedly at another job, which also kind of feels backwards to me, though, right? Like, if we're doing this job, Drake goes to ESPN, and they're like, hey, you did some pretty whack stuff at Up-Tempo. You were breaking cameras in your free time. Like, there should be some reparations for that. Yeah, this is our fifth. I'm not going to make that joke, actually, about my dogs, but yeah, that feels backwards, right?
Tell you what, Matt and DC, call us back. I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. Pickell. Armstrong Sims will hit a break right here. Armstrong's Minute quick break. When we come back, Matt and DC rejoins, and we'll do the green and blank game today, a little bit of SicEm Pick'em action.
Boom.
This is Up-Tempo.
It is March, and March is mad. Big dance time or not, things are already wild. To start, Notre Dame's Trey Wirtz hit a buzzer-beating three-pointer to erase a once 16-point deficit and knock off Wake Forest in round one of the ACC tournament 80-77. Elsewhere, Miami upset Pittsburgh 79-73. Duke dropped Boston College 86-51. Southeast Louisiana upset McNeese 71-68. Mount St. Mary's upset Bryant 73-68. Oral Roberts upset North Dakota State 75-72, and Houston Baptist routed Incarnate Word to notch a 80-68 upset. But even games that weren't upset were close, with Gonzaga trailing BYU 53-41 before pulling out an 88-78 win over BYU. And Gonzaga, Cleveland State, Oral Roberts, Mount St. Mary's, and Drexel officially punched their tickets to the tournament last night. And on the women's side, number 16 Gonzaga hit a buzzer beater to knock off BYU 43-42. And number 20 South Florida snuck past Wichita State 48-44. And the Big 12 tournament kicks off tonight at 5:30 with Kansas State facing TCU and Iowa State, Oklahoma to follow. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. It's been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way. I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll and J.D. Pickell for the Blonde Boys Power Hour.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. What do you think I've been grinding on for the last 24 hours?
Let's go.
That right there. Why are you the way that you
beat.
are? I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
I'm glad that we got that referenced on the show because I think a lot of people were like, why does he keep saying?
Yeah, why? He's such an a-hole.
He says he
I
hates
hate
JD
that guy.
Like twice a week.
My mom does that. My mom calls me and she's like, all right, first I hate your glasses. Second, you're a meanie head. That's a direct quote right there. That is verbatim. She got a new job too because she can't say a word. She can't text me right now. She has to go back and watch the shows.
Text line?
Yeah, she can't Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line. You know who can though? Jeff. Jeff's out there somewhere from the AT&T store. Maybe his name's not even Jeff. Maybe he gave an alias.
Is Jeff Long already working at AT&T?
He already got fired. He's at AT&T and he listens to Up Tempo. Matt in DC is back on the Impact Health Labs caller line.
Boom.
Matt in DC, you're on with Up Tempo.
Hey guys, hey, I was going to say Gonzaga has been exposed.
Yes.
It's over. I've been saying it. They don't play anybody. It's not their fault. But hey, just like in Rocky IV, you heard him. He's cut. He's bleeding. He's worried. All right. They're not a machine. They're man. They're made of heart, liver, and lungs. Remove one of the organs, you bring down the beast. Okay. When they get to the Sweet 16, Elite 8, they're finally going to play some teams. If you had them in the Big 12, they finished 4th. Okay. Not saying they're not a good team, but they've been exposed, and they're going to run into some real competition finally. And they may not even make it to the Final Four because they've only been to one. Hey, we may not even make it, but I know Gonzaga. I'm booking it now. Mark it. What is it? March 10th. Gonzaga will not be in the Final Four this year.
I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. I mean, it's the equivalent of the guy who never lifts legs, right? Let's dream with me with this metaphor for a second. When you lift legs, you produce testosterone that gets to the rest of your body that benefits the rest of your muscles. Gonzaga just hits biceps all day long. And it looks great. Don't get me wrong. People like it. It looks good. And it's important for them to have those muscles strong. But when it comes down to it, they don't have what's under the hood because they haven't been playing the hard teams. They haven't been lifting legs. What do you think of that metaphor, Drake?
I like the Rocky IV metaphor better. Thank you, Matt in DC, for the Rocky IV metaphor.
I didn't ask which one you liked better. I asked which one you liked.
Matt in DC, I think I really do think that BYU is a good program. And they shot the lights out of the basketball last night. I think Gonzaga was exposed for more of their weaknesses that exist. When you look at a team like Gonzaga, though, and compare them to the games that you've seen for Baylor, who is better? Who is better? Objectively, do you see separation?
I do. I think Baylor's going to get the nod. I'm trying to take my homerism out of it, but the thing is, because Gonzaga hasn't been battle tested, they don't face if they place every week. Even right now, if they had to play Iowa State, TCU, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and then K-State, they may win 2 or 3 of those games. They had to do it every single week. They got the big guys. They got, they can shoot. And it's all going to be about matchups if we do play them. Because if we shoot the lights out, it's not going to matter. Our bigs really can't match up with their bigs. But if we play to our top potential and they play to ours, we're probably going to win by 2 or 3 points. It's going to be a close game, but they're not tested. When they're down by 10, we've been down by many times, and we've faced it, and we've done it. Because if we go through battles each single week, we're not worried. Yeah. I'd like to see what are they going to do be down when they're down by 15, 10 minutes into the game.
Yeah. They could be on cruise. They've had that luxury of being on cruise control for both halves and still cover the spread, whatever it is, 20, 30 points each game. You can't turn it on in March. You have to already be at that level, and we're going to see Gonzaga do that. I'm with you. I think Final Four is ambitious.
Matt in DC, when's the next time Kansas will have a winning record in Big 12 play?
Anything can be fixed with two draft classes in the NFL or 2 good recruiting classes. So if you get the right coach that runs a good spread, I think what the thing they're going to have to do, I'm not saying, they won't hire Art Briles, but they need a guy that runs that spread system because we rebuilt our team because that spread system, it equalizes the field. It spreads you out. You can have 3-star, 2- and 3-star athletes score a lot of points against better athletes, and then you have to do that for so many years. And you can get to a bowl game. Briles did it in 3 years. You can do it at Kansas in 3 years and get to a bowl game. You just got to have the right scheme, get a lot of JUCO transfers in there, and invest in the program. That's what it takes, just like any program.
Matt in DC, thanks for your call.
Thank you.
All right, call us 254-339-1122. We're playing Green and Blank game today. 254-339-1122. Do you think Kansas should hire a coach that is a more triple option Munkin style guy?
I think that'd be tough in the Power 5. I like it a lot in Group of 5, like what Army does, what Navy does. It works. Or Georgia Southern, they do it really well. I think it's tough when you get to the Power 5 and you have those athletes that can make up for what the triple option is supposed to get you. Meaning the triple option, we read it in high school actually, you're trying to hide your line, you're trying to hide your lack of athleticism because you're trying to get the misdirection, where's the ball, trying to take your elite athletes out of the game. But when everybody on the defense is an elite athlete, it's really hard to make up for that team speed because at that point they can just stretch you out. And the whole point of the triple option is to get north and south. With great athletes at great speed, they can just string you along. So I think that's tough. I really like Brent Dearman. He was at Kansas. He was the OC for a little bit.
Yeah.
He left to take the OC job at Middle Tennessee, And he legitimately wrote the book on the RPO. Like, he has a book. I think it's called The Evolution of the RPO or something like that. Guy was set records at Bethel with how many points they scored. So I think he'd be a phenomenal pickup if he came back to Kansas. He'd be the first person I would look for. I think triple option would be a tough deal in the Power 5.
Armstrong, do you have the hockey video? I think you should. You should have the hockey. If we've lost the hockey video, all right, sweet.
1, 2, 3. You sacrifice attitude, USA. Oh, mama, don't you cry. Oh, mama, don't you cry. USA hockey is do or die. USA hockey is do or die. Take a hockey stick in my hand. Take a hockey stick in my hand. Going off to a foreign land. Going off to a foreign land. Play said I'd be a star. Play said I'd be a star. USA hockey will go very far.
That's the one.
Hockey will go very far. Take the Gatorade in your glass. Take the Gatorade.
I hope it's blurred out this time.
We just kicked your.
That was pretty close.
That's close.
Is it always that close to?
No, I think we're moving it. We're moving in a millisecond every time.
We're just getting riskier and riskier.
Closer and closer.
Between the Boeheim jokes and the hockey video censoring.
Censoring.
It has a lot of sensory and censoring.
The Marquette basketball team, men's basketball team, practiced for their tournament game, their conference tournament game today in a public park.
Wow.
I'm taking Marquette. Hammer the line. They're at Georgetown tonight. Or I don't know if they're at, but they play Georgetown in the conference tournament.
Hard edge. What's the line on that?
I think it's like Marquette. I think.
Do we know?
Marquette
I'll
2.
check.
Marquette by 2.
It says Marquette minus 3.5.
Honestly, we don't have time.
At a public park.
Yeah, we don't have time for Sick 'em Pick 'em.
What a blue collar edge.
I'm sorry about that.
No, we're good. What do you got in the 2 Big 12 games?
Give me like 2. Oh, 2 Big 12 games.
Kansas State and TCU. TCU minus 3.5. Do you like that line?
Stephen from Virginia, call back.
Give me Kansas State plus 3.5.
Give me the over.
Do you know what the over is?
It's over under 127.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Jeez. They're not scoring any points in that game.
Give me TCU money line.
TCU money line? Oklahoma, Iowa State.
Give me
Oklahoma minus 11.5 is the line.
Shoot. Yeah, give me Oklahoma minus 11.5. They win by 12.
Over under is 142.
Oklahoma wins by 12.
Over? I think they go over 2.
Oh, Sean Bonner. No, I think it'll be like 75 to 62. And that's the under. So give me the under, actually.
Okay.
Okay. It's close. It's going to be close, though.
I'm sold.
I think 75-62 is a really good bet right there, actually. You guys, listen to me. 75-62. Steven from Virginia, you want to play the green and blank game? And if you don't, that's too bad.
I'll play the green and blank game with you. What do I need to do?
Okay. Do you have music, Armstrong? All right, Steven. I've got 10 words here. And you're going to take these words and turn them into phrases. So if I said green and, you would say?
Gold.
Green and gold. See? If I said salt and, you would say?
Pepper.
Bingo. See, this guy gets it. It's a word. It's not a word association game. Or is it? It's not.
Not word association.
It's not word association. So, like, if I said blue, you wouldn't say red. You'd be wrong if you did that.
Unless we said red.
Right. You would say moon. You'd say blue moon.
Yeah.
Right. Or blue clues.
They don't have no war for that.
All right. So, Steven from Virginia, I've got 10 of these right here. If you get half of them, if you can match with one person in the studio, you get a point. If you get 5 points, I'll send you a T-shirt. This is a tough game.
This is the hardest
I'll send you another T-shirt. All right. Number 1, Steven. We get like 10 seconds to formulate our answers. Number 1, sack of blank.
Don't say it just yet.
Yeah, we get like we all get to like take a second to piece it together. I've got mine.
Set.
Ready, Armstrong?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, Steven, what do you got?
Sack of potatoes.
Oh, I have potatoes.
There we go,
1 point on the board. Word number 2, crystal blank. Crystal blank.
I got mine.
I've got mine. Armstrong?
I got mine.
All right. Steven from Virginia?
Crystal clear.
Crystal clear.
Meth.
Armstrong?
Crystal ball.
I, too, had crystal meth. Yeah, we were
Breaking
right.
Bad, baby.
We were thinking of the family show.
You know
it
what
is
it
a
is.
family show.
Slow clap.
Number 3.
Slow clap for crystal meth.
Pop. The word is pop. And I'm taking it off the board, but Pop. Anybody ever seen Community?
Oh, yeah.
Pop.
What's his name?
I don't think he has
what's
a
his
name.
name? No, he does.
Nathaniel?
Pop. I'm forgetting his name. I'll look it up.
They always point to him.
I have mine.
Like lab class, you pop. All right. Stephen from Virginia, do you have yours? I have mine.
I have mine.
Magnitude.
Yeah, magnitude. I just looked it up. There it is.
All right, Stephen, what do you got? What's yours, Stephen?
If you were going to say pop, I was going to say snap and crackle.
Pop, snap, and crackle. I think it's actually snap, crackle, pop.
I think it is, but I had Pop a Shot.
Pop a shot.
Pop Smoke, R.I.P.
Popsicle. Felt like low-hanging fruit right there. Pop. All right, back. The next word is back, Stephen. Oh, do you have yours? I have mine. It's easy.
I have mine.
Armstrong?
Yeah.
Stephen?
Back to back?
That's mine. That's mine.
Really? Armstrong?
Back to back. Took a
back scratcher.
And back to that.
Backpack. We got 2 on the board here.
Let's go, Steve.
Next word is cream. Okay, I got mine.
Okay, I got mine.
I don't have mine yet. Hang on.
got one.
Y'all go ahead. I don't have mine.
Okay, Stephen?
Actually, I have mine now.
Creamsicle.
That was mine.
Hey,
that was mine.
3 on the board.
Steve, we're synced up, baby.
What? I had cream of mushroom.
I've never heard of that.
Okay, salt and blank. What is it? Salt and blank. I have mine. Salt and blank. That's easy.
That was one of the examples, wasn't it?
Yep.
All right.
I got one.
All right, Stephen, what do you got?
I guess I got it.
I got salt and pepper.
I have salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper.
I do.
Armstrong? Yay! That's
All right,
4.
we're
We have
rolling.
4 left.
Let's go, Steve.
Baking blank. Easy. I got mine.
Got mine.
Steven?
I bake cookies, so I'm going baking cookies.
Baking cookies? Armstrong?
Baking sheet.
Baking soda.
Baking soda!
I was so close to baking cookies. I was very close to baking cookies.
Bench blank. What'd you say? Bench. B-E-N-C-H.
Son of a
blank.
bench.
I have mine.
I have mine.
Armstrong?
Yeah, I got it.
Steven, what you got?
Do you say Vince, like Vince Vaughn?
No, bench. Like sit on a bench. A female dog. Nope.
Bench warmer.
Bench warmer?
That was what I had.
That's
Bench
5.
warmer.
I had bench mob.
I had bench mob as well.
All right, we got quick right here. Caramel. What do you got, Steven?
Apple.
Caramel apple.
Frappuccino.
I had Mount Carmel.
I had cookie, and that sucks. That's impossible. But the next
Mount
word, the
Carmel?
last word is mount. Mount.
Oh, Mount. The last word is Mount?
Mount. What do you got, Steven?
Rushmore.
Oh.
I had Rainier.
Oh, Armstrong?
Mount Carmel.
I had Vesuvius. I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. Pickell. You, Stephen from Virginia, just won another SicEm365 t-shirt. I'll try to send you a different one than the last one.
Trophy.
That's Armstrong Sims, J.D. Pickell, Drake Toll. We will be back right after this with Evan Miyakawa
Boom.
on Up Tempo.
It is March, and March is mad. Big dance time or not, things are already wild. To start, Notre Dame's Trey Wirtz hit a buzzer-beating three-pointer to erase a once 16-point deficit and knock off Wake Forest in round 1 of the ACC tournament 80-77. Elsewhere, Miami upset Pittsburgh 79-73. Duke dropped Boston College 86-51. Southeast Louisiana upset McNeese 71-68. Mount St. Mary's upset Bryant 73-68. Oral Roberts upset North Dakota State 75-72, and Houston Baptist routed Incarnate Word to notch a 80-68 upset. But even games that weren't upset were close, with Gonzaga trailing BYU 53-41 before pulling out an 88-78 win over BYU. And Gonzaga, Cleveland State, Oral Roberts, Mount St. Mary's, and Drexel officially punched their tickets to the tournament last night. And on the women's side, number 16 Gonzaga hit a buzzer beater to knock off BYU 43-42. And number 20 South Florida snuck past Wichita State 48-44. And the Big 12 tournament kicks off tonight at 5:30 with Kansas State facing TCU and Iowa State, Oklahoma to follow. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. It's been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
The holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right now when the holidays are over? Why not end the year in better shape than when you started and create momentum for 2021? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has numerous options for stocking stuffer gifts with gift cards for gym or tennis membership, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, tennis lessons, and personal training. Perhaps a gift for a client, a family member, or a friend. You just need to walk through the front door to change your life. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp.
If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
No capes. Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers. Nice man. Good with kids.
Listen. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Diner guy, snag on takeoff. Splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No kicks.
Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
And welcome back in Up Tempo. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Wednesday. Big 12 tournament action kicking off today. And to help us break it all down, Evan Miyakawa joins the show. Evan, you have got to be one of the top 5 most popular analysts, at least locally, in college basketball right now, man. What is that like? Like, you have exploded from what I've seen in the last month or two.
That is a high compliment. I really it's been really fun. My website, I only made it publicly available for the first time this college basketball season. And so the amount of exposure and engagement that I've gotten through that over the last couple of months has been really, really fun to watch. And certainly, you know, as a Baylor graduate student, connecting with the Baylor Bears fan base, especially with how good the basketball team is this year, that's obviously really nice. So it's always fun to be able to talk some hometown Bears.
Let me tell you what, Evan, I love your content. I love the stuff you're putting out there, whether it be on Twitter or on your website, evanmia.com. And that's a free plug for everybody at home. I mean, Twitter right now, Evan Miyakawa, you won't regret it whatsoever. I want to ask you, though, before we even get into breaking these games down, what got you into this game, man, into putting out numbers and crunching things like this?
So I grew up in Indiana, which is actually where I'm at right now, working on my PhD remotely. But Indiana is a basketball state. I grew up in Indianapolis specifically. About 10 years ago, I went to the national championship game between Duke and Butler. When Butler almost made that half-court shot to be what I would consider to be the greatest upset of all time. So for me, that's when I really got hooked. And so I've always been a fan of college basketball. And now working on my PhD in statistics at Baylor, college basketball analytics is a very natural intersection for me between what I'm studying and what I love to follow most, which is, college hoops specifically. So that's kind of how this project started for me, just kind of in my free time, applying some of the stuff that I'm learning with my education, the tools that I'm, building and putting this together. And it's just been really fun ever since.
So, Evan, the Indiana base, give me, who have you been following most of your life in college basketball? Everybody's got that one team that they're at least a homer for a little bit. Who's your squad?
So my team through and through is the Butler Bulldogs. And so, growing up near them, being around Hinkle Fieldhouse, which is going to host some games during March Madness this year, they're always going to be my number one. Now, Baylor basketball has quickly become like 1A, 1B, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and certainly, Butler's not much to talk about this year, so it's a lot more fun to talk about the Baylor Bears and their national championship hopes. But the Butler Bulldogs, that's really where my heart has been most of my life.
I bet if Brad Stevens was hired as the head coach of Kansas football, he could turn things around. He may be the one guy that could possibly do it. But Butler, obviously a storied program, and now you go Baylor. Talk about that. I mean, you walk into a school where, hey, you're a grad student, a grad Bear, and Baylor now with maybe the best basketball team in the country.
Yeah, it's been a really fun environment. And, I also think, too, with Baylor not being considered as much of a traditional basketball school as some of the schools that I'm more used to being up in the Midwest and that part of the area, I think it's really fun seeing the Baylor fan base get so engaged with the basketball team this year and be able to kind of jump in on that and provide any, analytical context to that I can has been super fun. So it's really, there's no better time right now to be a Baylor Bear and to be cheering on the basketball team, both from watching the games and then digging into the numbers. Everything looks really impressive.
I want to know, too, for someone like you that's really opened up just the Pandora's box of basketball analytics and gotten to know and get acquainted with Baylor fans, whether it be in person or across social media, I've got to ask, with the Baylor fan base, I mean, does it feel like a family that you've been welcomed into, or kind of what has been the response from Baylor fans individually with all of the stuff you've put out?
Oh, absolutely. It's been, more welcoming and engaging than I could have even predicted. And honestly, I think part of that has to do with the fact that there's not all of these years of just like built up like blue blood, pride in a very haughty sense that you might get at some other schools. Baylor fans just love watching the Bears, and they're going to be critical when they need to be critical. But for the most part, they're just going to really enjoy this incredible project, not just this year, but what Scott Drew has done over all of his years, what many consider to be the greatest rebuilding project in all of college hoops. So, for that reason, I think people are just really appreciative of what's going on. And certainly that's, reached its full potential this year and potentially even further if they can make a Final Four run. So, but for me, it's been a really fun to engage with the fans in that way.
Well, Evan, here we are. It is March. The ball is tipped, and there you are. I know you're familiar with the song. Armstrong and I were talking earlier in the show. Apparently, you can't listen to the song in March, or it's bad luck for whichever team you're rooting for. Before we even go into that, I want to know, is that a take that you agree with?
So I would generally agree with that consensus.
Wow.
I know that Armstrong is about as, just like a true college basketball fan. He's been that his entire life. And so some of his opinions on that, I think, are to the, I don't want to call it extreme, but they are the true college basketball fandom, and I think I'm like just a notch below that. So maybe my standards aren't quite as high there, but I certainly can ride with that.
Armstrong is devout. Without a doubt, he's devout. Today I have a hankering to listen to One Shining Moment, but he won't let me. We can't play it in studio today because of Armstrong Sims. But speaking of One Shining Moment, we're right here in March, conference tournament week going on, champ week. And I saw you put out today, for those, again, that are listening, Evan Mia on Twitter, your college basketball 2021 bracket simulation, all 68 teams combined into here with how the numbers, I guess the analytics you're crunching say this thing will go. What kind of goes into how you build those?
Yeah, so the bracket simulations are something that I started at the beginning of March just because I think it's really fun to see what some of the possible outcomes are in the tournament, with the way that the bracket is currently. And so I put out several of those a day, and basically using my team ratings that I have on my website and the underlying model, I can simulate every game. And so I'll just simulate several of those brackets a day. I've got 20 up refreshed a day, and people can see different outcomes. So you'll have plenty of ones that look more likely, like a Gonzaga win, a Baylor win, a Michigan win, those teams up there in the Final Four. But you'll also have some random ones like a UConn run or Houston or, St. Bonaventure in the Final Four. So, it's March, and there's only going to be one outcome when we get to it. But when people are starting to think about how they want to build their brackets, there's a lot of different outcomes. And so I think it's fun to see what some of those could possibly be at this point in time.
Evan, I want to know, too, let's talk both ends of the spectrum. Let's start with Gonzaga at number 1. They'll be the number 1 overall seed. There's no way that changes moving forward. They're undefeated. They end the season, regular season, and conference tournament. Is there a hole with this Gonzaga team that you see that is going to hurt them moving forward or going into the tournament where they'll end up falling out, maybe even before the Final Four?
So Gonzaga, I will start by saying this. I think Gonzaga is as dominant a team at the top of the field as I've ever seen. Their player depth in terms of the fact that they have so many different good players who can carry them on any given night, the way that they run their offense, and just their consistency the whole season has been remarkable. With that being said, it is March, and any team can lose on a given night. And last night was certainly a test for them. They were down by double digits against BYU at halftime. BYU was, shooting the lights out, and they came back down to earth a bit in the second half, and Gonzaga still ended up winning by double digits. But I did notice something this morning when I was looking back at those numbers. They've been able to really pace themselves this whole season with how well they played in the WCC, that they haven't had to, put heavy minutes on certain guys. Yeah. But last night, a guy like Andrew Nembhard played all 40 minutes in that game, and they have a very short bench. They only had 2 guys coming off the bench, and I think they totaled 20 minutes. So that could be a concern. Say you reach a Elite 8 game, a Final Four game, and you're up against a really good team. The fact that they have a shorter bench, not as much depth there, again, not to take away anything from their first 5-6 guys who are remarkable, but that is certainly something to keep in mind going forward.
So with a team like Baylor, then, when you compare Baylor and Gonzaga, is it safe to say, Evan, this is one of the things that I've said since January, Baylor has the deepest team in the country, the best team top to bottom in the country, whereas Gonzaga has the best starting 5 in the country. Is that safe to say?
Oh, I think that's a good assessment. Baylor's depth and the fact that they pretty much anyone in their rotation they throw in is a high quality player. And they haven't even needed to use guys like LJ Cryer as much down the stretch. And I think he's a really, really good player. And when you look at his advanced metrics, Baylor has performed really well with him on the court. So I think they're not even using their bench to the full capacity that they could. I think the distinguishing factor for me is Baylor's 3-point shooting. And I know that can be somewhat volatile, but that's something they bring to the table that Gonzaga does not. Gonzaga has some guys who can make threes, and certainly Corey Kispert is probably one of the best, if not the best, 3-point shooter in terms of a pure shooting perspective. But when you look at their actual 3-point shooting numbers, they're not great, but Baylor's phenomenal. And so, if a team's like Baylor is hot from 3, it's really hard to beat them, no matter how good you are. So that's certainly something I think the Bears have going for them.
Let's look. So right there, the top 2 teams in the country, Baylor and Gonzaga. When we look at the other side of things, think your Florida Gulf Coasts or your early Wichita States. Northern Illinois, Loyola Chicago, if you will, those Cinderellas of the last decade that have your Butler UConns. I want to know, when you look at the field right now, is there a certain team that you see that you circle and say, all right, this is a team that I think is going to go deep that folks might be overlooking?
Great question. So I've got 3 teams for you here. Okay. The first one is going to be a team I think could certainly be a Cinderella in the first round to upset, one of the higher seeds. And that team is the Winthrop Eagles.
Yes.
They just got their conference tourney win, and they are one of the hottest teams in the nation right now. They have, I posted this yesterday on Twitter looking at the teams that have had their team rating on my site grow the most over the last 30 days. And they're in the top of that list. And so I think they could potentially be a giant killer. So for people who are looking to fill out their brackets for an upset pick, that's certainly one I would look at. For teams that I think could make a Sweet 16 or later or further run that people may not be as aware of, I've got 2 teams in my top 10 that most do not. And those teams would be Colorado and San Diego State. So Colorado being in the Pac-12 and San Diego State in the Mountain West. Those teams are not, on the national stage as much. But the thing that they have done that's been really impressive that I think other people don't realize is they've just taken care of a lot of opponents really early. And on my site, one of the things I do is I don't look at possessions once the game is already out of hand. So once you're in garbage time, I don't see that being super helpful for predictive purposes. And when you throw out garbage time possessions for those 2 teams, they look even more impressive than otherwise because they're putting teams away early. And so their wins look even more impressive in that regard. So I'm riding high a little bit on them compared to the rest of the nation. I wouldn't be shocked if either of those teams potentially makes a Sweet 16 run. And then once you're there, who knows?
Evan, I want to know. So one of the things we've gotten into here on Uptempo are SicEm Pick'em, and that is taking monopoly money, because sports betting is illegal in Texas, and putting monopoly money on these games. So I have become really privy to teams like Winthrop that are really good against the spread, or a Cleveland State. St. Bonaventure has been one of those programs that I've jumped on. Abilene Christian. I mean, this is just to name a few. Outside of Winthrop, whether it be Grand Canyon, Appalachian State, Moorhead, is there another school or 2 that you look at and say, this squad has got a real shot to be the next Florida Gulf Coast?
That's a really great question. Another team I think is really interesting is Liberty. And the reason why I like Liberty is because they play a style of offense that could be they have the tools to beat a much better team in the fact that they shoot a lot of threes and make a good percentage of them, and they play at a slow tempo. Those are the 2 main factors you're looking for when you're looking for a Cinderella team to knock off a 5 seed, a 4 seed, whatever. And so I think Liberty is going to be in the 13 to 14 range when the bracket comes out. And so I think they're a fun team to potentially watch there. Certainly if they have an off shooting night, what can you do? But I think they're a team that, especially if you're looking for one of those upset picks or against the spread, that kind of thing, Liberty is certainly one to watch. And I actually have a relationship with their head coach there. So that's a fun one for me to track.
I want to know too, Evan, with the field right now, what you're seeing, can you give me one team that you would say, all right, they're a 2 or a 3, maybe a 4 seed, but they're pretty fraudulent right now? Is there a squad you're looking at that you think, they're high seeded, but they could go out early?
Great question. There's some interesting options here. I look at the 3 seed line right now, and I'm just not really sure what to think about these teams. So the 3 seed right now at my site is Villanova, Arkansas, Virginia, and USC. And all of those, for different reasons, are kind of big question marks. Villanova lost their point guard and arguably their most important player, Gillespie, for the season. We're going to see if they even win a game in the Big East tournament because they also lost Justin Moore potentially as well. So Villanova is always, very well coached. They're always very good in March, but that's a little bit of a worry for me. Arkansas is very new on the scene. They haven't made a Sweet 16 in years. And they've only just recently, been hot. So I feel like they're kind of a boomer bust team. Virginia, I just don't know what to think. I mean, they're arguably the best team in the ACC, but they've had their struggles. And USC also is kind of a wild card to me as well. So that whole 3 line, I feel like you could have one of those teams make an Elite 8 run and 2 of them lose in the first or second round. So it's kind of hard to say.
With your bracketology, your 2s, your 3s, your 4s, especially that I wouldn't even get past that. From 3 down to even the double-digit seeds, opposite of a fraud, is there one team that you think, all right, this squad is getting overlooked, they should be higher than they are, and folks should be talking about them, that is a Power 5 team?
I think a team right now that is as hot as any, and this could potentially be something Baylor runs into, is UConn. UConn has been dominant as of late. I think they're actually the favorites to win the Big East tournament. Their star, James Bouknight, was out for a lot of the beginning of the season, but he's back. He's electric. And so they have moved onto the right side of the bubble in the last couple of weeks. But in terms of how good they are, they're going to be underseeded. And if they land on an 8 or 9 seed, whoever they're playing in their second game, if they happen to get past that first game as a 1 seed, that's going to be a tough draw. So Baylor in that situation potentially, and I'm not saying I think Baylor would lose that game, but that would be maybe more the equivalent of playing a 4 or 5 seed in terms of team strength. So I think they're certainly one to watch. I know you said Power 5, but Loyola Chicago is another team that's also going to be underseeded in terms of how good they are. Their resume is just not going to allow them to be seated as high, but whoever has to play them in the first round is probably going to be a little upset about that, because I think they're potentially, they're a top 20 team in terms of how good they actually are.
Bubble teams that are outside looking in right now, whether it be a team like Syracuse that's playing on the TV right now, they've got a lot of quality wins in there, but also some bad losses. You got to take the good with the bad with a lot of these squads. Is there a bubble team in the country right now that you are pointing to and saying either A, they can get in the tournament, or B, they can get in the tournament and make a run?
A team that I've always thought had potential, but just hasn't been able to maximize it this year, is Seton Hall in the Big East. And the reason why is because their best player, Sandro Mamukilishvili, is an incredible.
Bless you.
Yeah, there you go. He's an incredible player, and especially early on in the season, he was putting up massive point totals. And as a play-in or 11 seed in the tournament, I think a lot of people would be looking at them as a team that could potentially knock off a 6 in that spot. But, so if they get hot in the Big East tournament and win a couple games, maybe win the conference tournament or lose in the final, I think they could potentially be getting hot at the right time. They certainly have the pieces to do that, and they've been good for a long time. So that's a team I've got my eye on for sure.
With Baylor right now and what you're seeing from the Bears, their metrics, analytics, what you're putting together with this squad, what really makes a team like Baylor so good?
I think the thing for Baylor, watching them this whole season, is that Baylor just has one too many good guys on their team. If a defense is able to shut down a Jared Butler, shut down a Maceo Teague, name your player, there's always one more guy who's going to have a good day. They just have one too many guys, maybe even two too many guys, who have the ability to get a bucket, to be hot, and there's just no way that a team can scheme and plan and stop all of them with their game plan. They're just too good. And, Baylor certainly loves to run their set plays, but they also this year have guys in Davion Mitchell and Jared Butler who can go get a bucket late in the shot clock when something's not working, and they're very, very good at it. So for me, I think that's the key to Baylor right now, is that, especially now that they're back at full strength after their COVID pause, there's just too many dudes on that team, and I think that's really hard for most teams to deal with.
That's what Chris Beard, at his post-game press conference after Maceo Teague shot 10 three-pointers, he addressed it before the media asked their first question. In his opener, he said, listen, I get it. Their guy made 10 three-pointers. But if you ask a question about why didn't you guard him, the second you do, there are 2 or 3 other guys that are going to hurt you. So you got to pick somebody with Baylor, and obviously Maceo Teague was on Sunday. With the tournament, though, and as March is coming around, I mean, we're a week away from things getting underway, which is, it's my favorite time of the year. But I got to know right now where things sit, whether it be analytics or just your gut feeling, who is in your Final Four?
Oh, boy. I haven't actually sat down and thought about this, but I think my 2 locks for sure are Gonzaga and Baylor. That's no question. I think I'm probably – I usually tend to not want to choose a lot of 1 seeds, favorites. I'm just not that kind of person. But I have a really hard time leaning against Illinois right now, especially if they win the Big Ten tournament. They're just really hot, and Ayo Dosunmu is as good as anyone in the country, and with that mask he's wearing now, it's just really intimidating. So I feel like they're probably my third team. And then if I'm looking for another team that could get hot at the right time and knock some teams off, I feel like I might go with Alabama. Alabama certainly, I think, has a little bit more boom bust potential in the sense that they shoot so many threes, and if they have an off night, that's just difficult. But the way that they run their offense and with how good they've been on defense this year and the tempo that they run, I think they're just a really solid team. They have a lot of really, really good pieces. They don't rely too much on one player. So I think Alabama could potentially be, in the run for a Final Four. So that's my Final Four pick as of right now. I imagine that will change once the bracket comes out, but putting me on the spot, those are my answers.
I love it. And then last but not least, this is a personal question. Mike Anderson, St. John's, that program, what are their chances to sneak into the NCAA tournament? I don't know how much you've kept up with them, but they've been really volatile this season.
Yeah, I've not kept up with them a ton. Based on my machine learning algorithm that projects where teams would be seated or if they make the bracket based on their metrics right now, I don't even have them in my first 8 out.
Wow.
I do think that's I definitely think they do have a chance based on what other people are saying, but from a resume perspective, I'm just not seeing it quite as much. Now that certainly could change if they win a game or 2 or 3 in the Big East tournament. I don't know.
That's a Mike Anderson trend. It is a Mike Anderson trend. Hey, Evan, last question. This is the real last question. It's our Bear Games question of the day. And we're going to go from basketball to football. And look, we haven't talked enough for me to gauge how much you know about college football, but I know that you know that Kansas is not very good, literally ever. And now they're searching for a new head coach, and that program's become a dumpster fire. I want to know, how long will it be until Kansas has a winning record in the Big 12 in football?
I don't know, probably 876 years if I had to put an over-under on it.
I'm gonna hammer the over. Evan, as a Monopoly money betting man, I'm gonna hammer the over. Evan Miyakawa, thanks so much for joining the show today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Again, Evan joined the show talking Baylor basketball, college basketball across the country, Big 12 tournament time. You can check out his stuff at Evan Miya. That's MIYA.com, evanmiya.com. Go to his Twitter, too. It's Evan Miya, same thing. Check him out. He's got a lot of great analytics stats that he puts out there. And I don't know how these guys do it. Between Evan and Simon both that we've had on, but their analytics are unbelievable, spectacular. Go check him out on Twitter and at his website. All right, we're going to hit Armstrong's Minute. Quick break here. When we come back, we're talking more of the Kansas football situation. We're going to fill out our Big 12 tournament bracket as Baylor kicks things off in Kansas City tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. This is Uptempo.
It is March, and March is mad. Big dance time or not, things are already wild. To start, Notre Dame's Trey Wirtz hit a buzzer-beating three-pointer to erase a once 16-point deficit and knock off Wake Forest in round 1 of the ACC tournament 80-77. Elsewhere, Miami upset Pittsburgh 79-73. Duke dropped Boston College 86-51. Southeast Louisiana upset McNeese 71-68. Mount St. Mary's upset Bryant 73-68. Oral Roberts upset North Dakota State 75-72, and Houston Baptist routed Incarnate Word to notch a 80-68 upset. But even games that weren't upset were close, with Gonzaga trailing BYU 53-41 before pulling out an 88-78 win over BYU. And Gonzaga, Cleveland State, Oral Roberts, Mount St. Mary's, and Drexel officially punched their tickets to the tournament last night. And on the women's side, number 16 Gonzaga hit a buzzer beater to knock off BYU 43-42. And number 20 South Florida snuck past Wichita State 48-44. And the Big 12 tournament kicks off tonight at 5:30 with Kansas State facing TCU and Iowa State, Oklahoma to follow. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. It's been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
The holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right now when the holidays are over? Why not end the year in better shape than when you started and create momentum for 2021? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has numerous options for stocking stuffer gifts with gift cards for gym or tennis membership, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, tennis lessons, and personal training. Perhaps a gift for a client, a family member, or a friend. You just need to walk through the front door to change your life. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. Spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation. A tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So get the best and healthiest Christmas gift you can for someone or yourself. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
No capes. Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers. Nice man. Good with kids.
Listen. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Diner guy, snag on takeoff. Splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No kicks.
Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. It was so nice we ran it twice. Knockouts. Do you remember Thunderhead? That is such a good line of a movie. Today, Kansas is without a football coach. Les Miles relieved of his duties. They mutually parted ways. They said, listen, brother, we love you and you love us, but in the end, it is only right that we part, and then we shall not be together. And one can only think, what in the world was Jeff Long thinking in his press conference where he was like, listen, Les Miles and I had a conversation when we hired him, and we came to the conclusion that he had never done anything wrong. There was nothing there that could embarrass the program here at Kansas. And then the reporter's like, well, excuse me, Jeff. If Les Miles lied to you and said that there's nothing that he had done in his past that led you to believe that there could be an issue, if he said that, if that's a real thing, then you don't have to pay him. Like, he lied to you. So you don't have to give him the rest of his money. You don't have to settle, right? And so then Jeff Long's like, well, he didn't exactly lie, which is very much like a middle school thing to say. Like, well, I didn't tell the whole truth, but I also didn't lie. And they're buddies. Jeff Long and Les Miles are buddies. He had to fire Les Miles after this, okay? It's just weird. You can't, if you're Les Miles, you're anybody. You can't do that. You can't be inappropriate. College-age girls doing, things that without a doubt you should not be. He's got to be fired. But then for Jeff Long, we've got a clip of this. Pete Francis posted this on Twitter. Armstrong, I've got it in the Twitter file. It says Kansas Athletic Director Jeff Long was asked about his track record hiring head coaches and why KU fans should be confident he can make the right hire. This is the same press conference where Jeff Long was like, yeah, we hired the guy and he was clean then, and he's not exactly clean now, but also he didn't lie to me. Check out this clip from Jeff Long's press conference.
The hires that you made in Arkansas, we're talking a lot about Les, but the hires at Arkansas weren't successful either. Are there things that you've learned?
In what regard? I would have to ask, what regard were they not successful?
On the field? And the Petrino thing, we don't need to get into that, but like, what have you learned from those processes, or why do you think KU fans should be confident that you can make this hire the right one?
Yeah, well, like I said, I've been involved in college football my entire professional life. I've worked at a number of institutions. I worked in a number of conferences. I have, worked in many different ways in college football, but I think I'm uniquely prepared, having been a college football coach at the Division I level at a Power 5 school early in my career, and then having worked at a number of Power 5 institutions along the way. So I'm confident in my knowledge. I'm confident in my experience, and I have no doubt that we can find the next great leader for the KU in the best interests of our student athletes.
That from Jeff Long, who hired Les Miles at Kansas to be the football coach. They're buddies. They're friends, right? So I can see where the hire was made. Jeff Long, look, Les Miles got a good track record, right? But if I'm at Kansas, I have little to probably no confidence that Jeff Long can make a hire that is going to get Kansas football back to where they should be. Listen to the hires at Arkansas, okay? He hires Bobby Petrino, which Jeff, what the crap, man? A reporter asks you, like, obviously the Arkansas hires didn't work out, and he's like, in what way? In what way did they not work out? Let me tell you, Jeff, you want to talk about the one coach that won at Arkansas? It was Bobby Petrino. And I don't know if you guys remember what happened with Bobby Petrino, but he was fired in April of 2012. Petrino publicly dressing him down for unfairly hiring his mistress. Bobby Petrino hired his mistress and intentionally misled his boss about everything from their relationship to her presence at the motorcycle accident that ultimately cost him his job. Athletic director Jeff Long announced his decision at an evening news conference and laid out a stunning laundry list of misdeeds by Petrino. So Bobby Petrino lies about everything in Arkansas, right? Jeff Long hired that guy. So I don't know. Jeff, do you want to defend that hire at Arkansas? Because I probably wouldn't. Also, you hired Bobby Petrino, who left Atlanta in the middle of the night. That doesn't tell you something, the way that he left the Atlanta program for the Falcons. Then, interim head coach. Mind you, Arkansas had been picked to win a national championship that year, that 2012 season, the year that Petrino was fired. Picked to win a national championship by ESPN analysts. They were number 8 in the country to start off the year. They end up winning their opening game by 10 points before they lose the next week to Louisiana Monroe. Maybe one of the worst losses in program history. You know why? They hired John L. Smith, the strength and conditioning coach, as the head coach. Jeff Long did as the head coach of Arkansas, right? I remember John L. Smith being in a press conference and saying, this is the great state of Alabama. He referenced the state of Arkansas as the state of Alabama. He was that confused. Worse than a dumpster fire. That team was terrible. They ended up ultimately going 4-8. So then after that, he's like, all right, I'm going to hire Brett Bielema. This is going to work. I'm Jeff Long. I got you. Brett Bielema lasted from 2013 to 2017. He went 8-5. He went 3-9 in his first year, 7-6, 8-5, 7-6 before going 4-8 in 2017. The Brett Bielema experiment didn't work out, and then he ended up getting fired. He also hired Jimmy Dykes as the women's basketball coach at Arkansas. Jimmy Dykes, the ESPN analyst, right? Everybody, he comes in. Arkansas was ranked in the top 25 his first day. He lasts 3 seasons. Dykes goes 16-36 in SEC play at Arkansas. 18-14 in his first season, won an NCAA tournament game. After that, 12-18, 13-17, and they're like, we're done. Then Long also hired Mike Anderson. Mike Anderson never got past the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament at a program that's supposed to be, historically good. Ends up going 16-16 in his final season and never made it past the round of 32. Was great at Missouri, awful at Arkansas. So when you look, this is Kansas, a Big 12 program that needs help. They need legitimate help. And Jeff Long, is the eyes of Jeff Long are what you're staring into as the guy that's going to hire your next football coach. I would be scared. I don't want that. I don't want Jeff Long hiring anyone because then he goes to Kansas. So again, it makes me so, I am perplexed that a reporter in the press conference asks the question or says, your hires at Arkansas didn't work out. And Jeff's like, no, what do you mean? What do you mean they didn't work out? That's what of that did work out? None of it. None of it. And then you're going to be like, yeah, no, I've got confidence I can hire a football coach. Well, your first hire at LSU, how did that work out? Not only did Les Miles not win on the field, it comes out that there was an investigation in 2013, way back, where he had done inappropriate things, said inappropriate things to and with college-age girls. That is your track record of hiring football coaches in the Power 5, Jeff Long. And I have zero confidence that Jeff Long will be able to hire somebody at Kansas is going to get the job done. I think my shot out there that at the end of the day, I used to be a huge Jeff Long fan. I loved Jeff Long. But as things have started to come out and things have started to unravel, you have to understand that you can put on a suit and tie and be a great guy in front of the media. I remember a soccer game that Arkansas won and he slid in the mud like a slipping slide. PR, great. But again, at the end of the day, it is not a Power 5 pedigree. Jeff Long does not have that when it comes to making hires and making the right decision, all right? The right decision's tough. You can hire a football coach who's got a bad track record or done bad things, i.e. Bobby Petrino, i.e. Les Miles. That right there shows that you put winning over anything else. And what does that do? It keeps biting Jeff Long in the butt, and it's going to continue to do that if he continues to make hires similar to what he's done so far. I think, look, I do not, if I'm Kansas, allow Jeff Long to make this football hire. No. He may hire a big name. He may go out and hire a big name, but it will not. It will not work out. If you look at Jeff Long's track record, why will this one be any different than the rest of them? I'm Drake Toll. That's Armstrong Sims. When we come back, we're going to break down the Big 12 championship bracket. Baylor playing tomorrow against either TCU or Kansas State. This is Up Tempo.
It is March, and March is mad. Big dance time or not, things are already wild. To start, Notre Dame's Trey Wirtz hit a buzzer-beating three-pointer to erase a once 16-point deficit and knock off Wake Forest in round 1 of the ACC tournament 80-77. Elsewhere, Miami upset Pittsburgh 79-73. Duke dropped Boston College 86-51. Southeast Louisiana upset McNeese 71-68. Mount St. Mary's upset Bryant 73-68. Oral Roberts upset North Dakota State 75-72, and Houston Baptist routed Incarnate Word to notch a 80-68 upset. But even games that weren't upset were close, with Gonzaga trailing BYU 53-41 before pulling out an 88-78 win over BYU. And Gonzaga, Cleveland State, Oral Roberts, Mount St. Mary's, and Drexel officially punched their tickets to the tournament last night. And on the women's side, number 16 Gonzaga hit a buzzer beater to knock off BYU 43-42. And number 20 South Florida snuck past Wichita State 48-44. And the Big 12 tournament kicks off tonight at 5:30 with Kansas State facing TCU and Iowa State, Oklahoma to follow. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. It's been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
With your Ram truck from Allen Samuels, you may not have to plow through snow and mud or pull heavy loads, but you could. During the Big Finish year-end event, you get a Ram deal like no other. Employee pricing for all, 0% for 84, and no payments for 90 days. Ram 1500 Lone Star for Christmas. No other truck comes close. And ask about Big Finish pricing on Ram Heavy Duty and Ram ProMaster for your business. Happy holidays from Allen Samuels.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for holiday favorites for parties and the time with family. Various specials available in-store and online. A variety of steak gift boxes with 4 ribeyes for $70, 4 bacon wrap fillets for $55, or 4 New York strips for $50, and all come with steak butter. Fall snack box for watching a game or wrapping presents or hosting people at your house, including summer sausage, split horn, and jalapeno cheese and salted crackers for only $35. 2 pieces of lobster tails with herb butter and 2 bacon wrap fillets for $60. Order online or call in advance to ensure availability, or drop by Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive. Waco Custom Marketplace has a full-service butcher shop for customized orders or cuts of your favorite steaks or beef tenderloin or specially ordered prime rib roast. Plus, what you want with pork, poultry, seafood, and more. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or wacocustommarketplace.com.
I got breaking news here. We got Western Athletic Conference just announced they're adding several schools.
The WAC.
The WAC.
Okay. Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
I think Coach Gundy would be like my guy that I would just like just a hair. Yeah. I just want to be able to see it flow when I kind of slam his arm down.
Here's Drake Toll.
Woo-wee! Boy, howdy. Welcome back to Up Tempo. I'm Drake Toll. That's Armstrong Sims. A little bit of country trap. You know what they call that when you put it together? Crap. Yeah. It's a good dad joke. So here's what we got today. We will be joined on the show around 1:05 on this happy Wednesday by Scott Chasen, who is a Kansas beat writer. Scott's going to come on and talk a little bit about the Kansas football situation and what exactly is going on with Jeff Long, Les Miles, and everything happening in Lawrence. Before that, though, the Big 12 tournament kicking off today with TCU and Kansas State. This one is going to be one that I will likely sleep through. I mean, it'll be a good game, I guess, but I just don't. Neither of these teams really jump off the page as teams that I want to watch play basketball. Kansas State finished 4-14 in conference play. TCU 5-11 in their last 5. So how about this? Last 4, Kansas State is 3-1 in the last 4. Their only loss is at West Virginia by 22 because it's West Virginia. They beat Oklahoma at home by 5. They beat Iowa State at home by 5. They won at TCU by 8. All right? TCU has lost their last 3 straight. They have lost 4 out of the last 5. Their only win in their last 5 is against Iowa State on the road by 4 because everyone has beaten Iowa State this season. Texas, they just lost to them by 12. They lost to West Virginia by 9. They lost at Texas Tech by 20. I think I like Bruce Weber. I like Bruce Weber in this one. I think that young team is catching on. I think Jamie Dixon has an issue where his squad may not, whether it be Nemhard, Kevin Samuel. I like both those guys, but they're not new. You know, Nigel Pack is new for Kansas State, and he seems to be catching his groove. And so I like Kansas State +3. I think Kansas State wins this one, and it's Kansas State and Baylor in the quarterfinals on Thursday. The other matchup to break down today, Iowa State and Oklahoma. Brady Manick and Austin Reeves at Oklahoma facing off against an Iowa State team that ended up winless in conference play. They are 2-21 overall this season. I think that's probably grounds for firing your head coach. You can probably do that. They've lost 17 straight. They're facing an Oklahoma team, though, that has lost 4 straight. And that's uncharacteristic of an OU team that could go to the Sweet 16 this season. Oklahoma lost by 4 to Texas at home, at Oklahoma State by 4. They lost against Oklahoma State at home by 4, and they lost at Kansas State by 5. This is a hungry Oklahoma team. They're 11.5-point favorites against Iowa State tonight. It's an Iowa State team that just lost to Kansas State by 5 on the road. They lost to Texas Tech by almost 30, to Texas by 14, TCU by 4, Baylor by 5. They're close. They're close in these games. I think Iowa State keeps this game very close, but it's their last basketball game of the season. Things will close up in Ames, Iowa tonight in basketball. I hate it. I really want to tell you that Iowa State will win this game. I think they could get close, but I think Oklahoma wins this one in the end. I like Iowa State to keep this tight, though. I like Oklahoma maybe by 3 or 4. I love Iowa State plus 11.5. Moving into the quarterfinals, Baylor, Kansas State. Folks, do I gotta tell you what's going to happen in that one? I think Baylor wins that one by 15, 20. I mean, the onslaught they will put on Kansas State like they already did the first time. Game 2, West Virginia, Oklahoma State. This is one of the more intriguing games that I think we will see in this Big 12 tournament. Both of these squads have met now a couple of times, with West Virginia winning at Oklahoma State, overcoming a 19-point deficit. On the Oklahoma State side, they just won without Cade Cunningham at West Virginia. West Virginia's got a 60% chance to win this game, according to ESPN. Cade Cunningham might not be Oklahoma State's most important player, says USA Today. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see if he'll play in the nothing here says whether or not he'll play in the Big 12 tournament. I'm going to assume he will. I'm going to assume his ankle's okay, that he will play. If so, that's tough. They played 2 really close games. Something in me wants to give Oklahoma State the nod in this one again. I know West Virginia's out for blood, and they really want to go back and beat Oklahoma State and avenge that loss they had at the end of the regular season, but I think this one goes home with Oklahoma State again. They've split the regular season matchups. I think Oklahoma State upsets West Virginia, and it's Baylor, Oklahoma State in the semifinal on the top side of the bracket. Kansas and Oklahoma. Kansas, no David McCormick in the Big 12 tournament. I think that is going to hurt them exponentially. I think they've leaned on McCormick more so. We saw it in the Baylor game. Oklahoma needs, after a tight win against Iowa State, I think Oklahoma needs a statement going in an NCAA tournament, and they make it here. Kansas is hot, but give me the 7-seed Oklahoma on top of the 2-seed Kansas. Then Texas Tech and Texas at the bottom. Tech's reeling a little bit, I think, after the Baylor loss. That was ugly. That just looked bad. They got absolutely embarrassed against Baylor. I mean, Baylor ran Texas Tech out of the gym on Sunday. You got a Texas team that now has lost just 1 game in their last 5. That was to Texas Tech on the road. They've won 3 straight, and I think they do it again. I think Texas wins this one. I think it's Texas, Oklahoma, Baylor, Oklahoma State. That is your Final Four in the Big 12 tournament. Baylor and Oklahoma State. Cade Cunningham out for blood, out for revenge. I think he's going to get it in the first half. I think Oklahoma State goes on top of Baylor in the semifinal on Friday. They lead at halftime by 6 or 7. Things look a little bit more dicey. Cade Cunningham's playing well, and Baylor has to lock things down in the second half. But I do think Baylor, in the end, is too much. They are too much. The depth is there, and they come back to beat Oklahoma State. And I think the way that it happens is similar to that Gonzaga-BYU game where the Zags came back and they were down by 12 at halftime, down by a dozen at halftime. They came back and ended up beating BYU by double digits, by 10 points. I think the same thing for Baylor. I think they win by 8 or 9 in that one against Oklahoma State with a 7-point halftime deficit. Just somebody gets hot. Then Kansas, Texas. I'm sorry. Wow. Texas, Oklahoma in the other semifinal. I've just got a feeling. It's going to be Texas and Baylor in the Big 12 championship. I've just got a feeling. I think Oklahoma plays them tight again. They split the regular season series, but in the end, neutral site, Kansas City. I think Texas, Shaka Smart, they are hot right now. They're playing well. They won against Kansas in double overtime in late February, and now they've won 3 straight since losing at Texas Tech in late February. I think this Texas team, they still have something to prove. They're going to knock off Oklahoma after beating Texas Tech. I like Texas and Baylor to meet in the Big 12 championship, but I don't think Scott Drew's messing around. The first time these two teams played, you were you just didn't know what you're going to see from Texas coming off the COVID break. You still didn't know exactly what you would see from Baylor coming off of their COVID break that they had, that little pause in January. So that Texas game came for Baylor right after the Auburn game in which the Bears won by 12 at home. They go on the road and beat Texas by 14. I think they do it again, but a little bit more emphatically. I think it's higher scoring, but Baylor takes the Big 12 championship. I do. I think Baylor wins this tournament. I don't even know that Texas is their toughest matchup. Here's the deal. The one team that I'm most scared of is that West Virginia beats Oklahoma State and Baylor has to play West Virginia in that semifinal game. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Oklahoma State's going to get West Virginia. And I think it's going to be Baylor to the championship against Texas. They're going to run the Longhorns out of the gym pretty quick, though. I've got Baylor with an 11 or 12-point lead at halftime. They end up winning the game by 15 or 16 to take their first Big 12 tournament championship on Saturday. That's going to be a big game. It's going to be a big game. And I think Baylor rises to the occasion. They knock off Texas, take that thing home. And the time of that game is 5 p.m. Central Time. 5 p.m. Central Time. So ESPN, Saturday, March 13th. Book it right now. Get ready. Lock it in. You guys will have the TV on. Texas and Baylor, 5 p.m. Saturday. Big 12 championship. And the Bears win it by 16. I'm going to give score prediction already 89-73. 89-73. Very high-scoring game. Back and forth for a little bit, but Baylor ends up taking a double-digit lead at the halftime and winning the game by 16-17, somewhere in there. Emphatically winning the Big 12 tournament, taking them into the NCAA tournament where who knows how deep this team could go. I don't know if they're a lock for the Final Four, but, man, they look good. That's my Big 12 tournament prediction. I got Kansas State on top of TCU. I've got Oklahoma on top of Iowa State in a tight game. Baylor beats Kansas State. Oklahoma State beats West Virginia. Oklahoma beats Kansas. Texas beats Texas Tech. Texas beats Oklahoma. Baylor beats Oklahoma State. Baylor, Texas in the championship. The Bears win it. Big 12 tournament champions. I'm Drake Toll. That is Armstrong Sims. We're hitting a break right here with an Armstrong's Minute. When we come back, Scott Chasen joins the show to talk Kansas football and what is going on in Lawrence. This is Uptempo.
It is March, and March is mad. Big dance time or not, things are already wild. To start, Notre Dame's Trey Wirtz hit a buzzer-beating three-pointer to erase a once 16-point deficit and knock off Wake Forest in round 1 of the ACC tournament 80-77. Elsewhere, Miami upset Pittsburgh 79-73. Duke dropped Boston College 86-51. Southeast Louisiana upset McNeese 71-68. Mount St. Mary's upset Bryant 73-68. Oral Roberts upset North Dakota State 75-72, and Houston Baptist routed Incarnate Word to notch a 80-68 upset. But even games that weren't upset were close, with Gonzaga trailing BYU 53-41. before pulling out an 88-78 win over BYU. And Gonzaga, Cleveland State, Oral Roberts, Mount St. Mary's, and Drexel officially punched their tickets to the tournament last night. And on the women's side, number 16 Gonzaga hit a buzzer beater to knock off BYU 43-42, and number 20 South Florida snuck past Wichita State 48-44. And the Big 12 tournament kicks off tonight at 5:30 with Kansas State facing TCU and Iowa State, Oklahoma to follow. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. It's been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
The holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right now when the holidays are over? Why not end the year in better shape than when you started and create momentum for 2021? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has numerous options for stocking stuffer gifts with gift cards for gym or tennis membership, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, tennis lessons, and personal training. Perhaps a gift for a client, a family member, or a friend. You just need to walk through the front door to change your life. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. Spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation. A tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So get the best and healthiest Christmas gift you can for someone or yourself. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
And welcome back to the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. How about it, folks? Happy Wednesday. On this day, where Kansas football does not have a football coach, after the firing, the mutual parting of ways between Les Miles and the Kansas football program. And now joining Up-Tempo today to break it down and talk with us, Scott Chasen, Kansas beat writer for 24/7 Sports via CBS Sports, co-host of The Drive. I mean, Scott, what is going on in Lawrence, man?
A lot would be the way I'd answered that. I think someone asked me the other day, they were like, hey, what kind of stuff are you writing? What do you got up on the website? And I said the remnants of my sanity, just because this has been such a kind of whirlwind weekend plus, whatever you want to call it, for the KU football program, for the KU basketball program too. And man, it's been a lot to cover. It's still not over yet. Kansas obviously now has a coaching search to figure out, but it's been crazy time in Lawrence.
And Scott, thanks for joining the show so much today. And we've been talking all day really about Kansas and the situation there. Myself, being someone who covered Arkansas for a while and grew up around the Arkansas football program, actually, I'm quite familiar with Jeff Long and his hires that he made at the University of Arkansas. What I want to get your take on first, there was a clip in the press conference that Jeff Long had where he was posed the question, Jeff, obviously your hires at Arkansas didn't work out. And he paused the reporter almost to defend his hires at Arkansas that really didn't work out. But when Jeff Long says to the Kansas community, have faith in me, trust me, I can hire a football coach, I can get it done, what do you make of that?
I make of it that he's probably feeling at least a little bit of pressure just in terms of his job. I mean, this is a guy who is not the most popular figure in Lawrence. And I think that's among fans. I think that's among some members of the program as in coaches. I think that's probably some at the donor level. And I think he's feeling that pressure. There are a lot of people who question whether or not he should be allowed to make the hire. And, at the same time, I think sometimes his record gets criticized a little bit unfairly. People don't realize the situation Les Miles came into, that he actually did a lot of good for the football program, that they're probably a year away from having a restored base of scholarships, which was the most important thing he could do. So I think he gets dinged for that. I also think the Brett Bielema hire, at the time, was seen as a much better hire than it ended up to be. So I don't necessarily think it's as fair, the criticism he gets in hindsight, but his hires haven't been successful, and that's pretty much, inarguable. So for him to kind of challenge that, and then, the reporter wasn't being mean to him. He was just saying, well, on the field, they haven't. And then, obviously you had the Petrino stuff too. Yeah. It was just a bad look and a tough moment, and it seemed to rattle him a little bit. I mean, I'm sure you saw how he answered the question, but I mean, his tone was very, almost like someone who had been caught doing something wrong or doing something bad there. It was a very tense press conference. So I've never been on a press conference like that before.
Speaking of, Scott, one of the things that we talked about on the show earlier with Jeff Long and that press conference, the thing that really struck me, that stood out to me for him, was the mentioning of, that they had done multiple background checks on Miles, and Long and Miles are friends. They've got a nice relationship that goes back. Long says that he looked him in the eyes and asked him, is there anything that can embarrass this program? And that he had the quote was, no indications of issues. Then goes on later in the press conference to say also that Les Miles hadn't lied to him necessarily about possible issues. Those two things seem to contradict one another. Is there any sense that you can make out of that particular situation?
Well, they definitely contradict one another, but I kind of understand maybe why he felt the need to answer that way. I think part of it is the terms of the agreement between Kansas and Les Miles, in part includes a non-disparagement agreement. And I don't know necessarily if that would qualify. I don't know necessarily, what those conversations were like and what they're trying to do to avoid a legal battle. Jeff Long also indicated at one point, and this could be me reading into a quote, he didn't necessarily say this word for word, but he indicated there might have been a reason Les Miles had to answer no to that question, perhaps some kind of legal obligation to not acknowledge details of a settlement or something like that. I don't know. That's me doing a lot of the work for Jeff Long, though, and me almost borderline making an excuse for him, right? Because he didn't say that. We don't necessarily know that. But, at the same time, Kansas claims it ran multiple background checks. Obviously, Jeff Long had the friendship with Les Miles. One of the things I really thought was not insulting, I don't know what the right word is, but a little silly coming out of that press conference was when Jeff Long had the line, he was like, much was made of the friendship between me and Les Miles, kind of indicating that it was overblown by, maybe media, when in fact, if you go back to Les Miles hiring, it was Jeff Long who was making much of the friendship between he and Les Miles. I mean, it was the two of them that, were joking about how during the courtship of Les Miles, they would try and make each other jealous, either Les Miles talking to other ADs or Jeff Long talking to other coaches, and, all this whatever fun, happy process. To come back a few years later and be like, well, actually it was overblown. We never really had this, whatever connection people thought. He did say he considers him a friend. But again, I thought that was a moment that I was like, I'm not sure who this is convincing or who this is impressing or who this is for, because I don't think anyone's buying it.
Scott, in the Les Miles tenure, when Matt Rule was at Baylor, that 1-11 season, you still felt like there were competitive games, and you still felt like, okay, give it time, and he's going to be successful. Obviously, we saw that he was. With Les Miles, what is the aura or the vibe that Kansas fans have had, not only with that hire, but with his performance to this point as the former head coach?
Well, I'll tell you what, Kansas fans obviously didn't like the 0-9 season. I think a lot of them are lower on Les Miles now, which makes sense. Of course they would be. But Kansas is basically one recruiting class away from fixing its scholarship numbers, and that's been an issue since Charlie Weiss. And that issue was kind of continued by David Beatty. It was fixed a little bit, but then he went into that same JUCO route. And I think the biggest frustration people had with David Beatty was losses could be tolerated, but you have to recruit high school talent and build up the program. And David Beatty, either because he couldn't recruit high schoolers or he refused to because he felt the pressure of winning, took some, close to 20 JUCO names in his last recruiting class. And again, it just created this huge issue. So people wondered for years, why won't a coach just sacrifice and fix the numbers? And Les Miles, to his credit, and he does deserve credit for this, torpedoed his career record and winning percentage, although it's still very good, to only recruit high schoolers, to build up the program's numbers, and to actually recruit at a pretty high level. Kansas just signed its highest ranked recruiting class since 2011. So this next year, 2021, is not going to be pretty for Kansas either, because they only basically have 2 full classes coming in. But starting the year after that, you're back at 85 names, which again is a huge deal for this program. You actually have some talent. It's kind of why this next coaching hire is so important for Kansas, because if they get it right, they're a year or two away from, I'm not going to say being fixed, but being a respectable program. If they get it wrong, and especially if they have like program departures from some of the younger players, I mean, it's going to be right back to square one. So this is a crucial moment for the Kansas football program. Basically, are you going to be able to turn this thing around in the next maybe 2 years? I don't think that's overly optimistic. Or are you going to set this thing back another decade by making the wrong hire? It's a huge hire for Jeff Long.
I tell you, I've got to know. With the Kansas hire, these recruiting classes, we had that conversation too. Les Miles has put something together that is very uncharacteristic when it comes to Kansas football recruiting. Does that indicate that this hire needs to be made within the program?
That's been a thought that I think a lot of us in this area have had, especially covering the team, even going with an interim coach just for the whole season and then finding someone to, maybe reopening the coaching search in November when you might have more candidates available. That makes sense. I think that could be a way to go. It doesn't sound like it's a way they're going to go, just because Jeff Long said at his press conference, he was asked about the timeline and he was like, I don't know if it's going to be before spring football. I don't know if it's going to be after spring football. And the fact that he was so honed in on spring football would tell you, that's kind of the timeline around that time that he probably wants to make that hire. But I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world. I actually think it would probably be the smartest thing to do, to go interim coach, especially because Kansas has a few names that really make sense for that position, that have really helped in recruiting. And they've already lost a couple assistants, obviously now losing Les Miles. So keeping the guys together who are there, it is a really big deal, especially with this class. Wide receivers coach Emmett Jones, who's also the passing game coordinator, he recruits down in Texas at a very high level for Kansas, landed the highest ranked recruit in program history by, over 100 spots in the recruiting rankings, and Quay Davis, 4-star wideout. That would be the guy that makes the most sense to me in terms of upside. Joshua Ergel has experience as a head coach, as a coordinator, as an interim coach. He's the recruiting coordinator. He's also helped them out, obviously, in recruiting. He's been pretty good in Georgia, a couple areas. he's another name that I think would make sense. He actually filled in for a game. And then DJ Elliott is the defensive coordinator. I don't necessarily know if there's huge upside there with him. But, he would also be another name that I'm sure they would consider.
So if Kansas is to go outside of the program and go now, does it feel like Jeff Long is leaning that way, that he's going to make it higher as soon as possible, maybe within the next week and a half?
I don't know if it'd be that soon, but I know they definitely want. It sounds like they definitely want to go outside higher, and I think there are candidate pool might be a little lower, might be a little bit more awkward with the fit. But I guess if you find the right candidate, then timing doesn't matter much. It's just a matter of paying enough, getting enough money, and going out and getting your guy.
Not only that, kind of on top of that, I want to go a little bit back to Jeff Long. In his tenure at Arkansas, especially after the Brett Bielema hire, there was the Jimmy Dykes hire in women's basketball, the John L. Smith interim stretch where Arkansas goes 4-8 in a season they started ranked number 8 in the country. With the fan base, you could feel that seat was not just hot, it was on fire. Jeff Long, it was inevitable that his time in Arkansas was running out. Does it feel like, with not just the Kansas fan base, but even the donors and those around the program, that Jeff Long is really towing a thin line right now?
It's a very thin line. I don't know that I would say it's on fire, but it's definitely heating up, and it comes down, I really think, to this football hire. Jeff Long was brought to Kansas to fix football. So far, he hasn't, but you could make the argument he's at least set the program or moved it forward in terms of rebuild. Because again, as bad as Les Miles' career record is, Les Miles has put Kansas football in a position where it can attract a coach. There's, at least what I've heard early on, is that there's some pretty real interest in this program. And there were people reaching out, or people who were making it known that they were interested before Les Miles was even out. I guess he wasn't fired. They reached an agreement. But it's a more attractive job now because you're looking at probably a 2-year rebuild as compared to a 4 to 5 year rebuild. So, I at least give him credit for that, if nothing else. But I do think, again, if he gets this hire wrong, and for the record, I think there were a lot of people, myself included, who didn't think he would get the chance to even make this hire, that they would really lean on outside counsel and other names that they trust. I just tend to think it's so hard to, if you get 2 football hires wrong, how often do you ever get to make a third one? And again, I just don't think that support is there. I think there's a very good chance that if this isn't a slam dunk, it could be the end of things for Jeff Long.
I want to know, Scott, you start with that, what was it? The ESPN Plus series. What was that called?
Miles to Go.
Miles to Go. You start with, all right, Les Miles, back in a Power 5 job. Miles to Go, ESPN Plus. Everybody's talking about the Mad Hatter, and here he is. To this, how did we get to this point?
Man, it's kind of crazy that it's evolved basically over the course of a month. Before February, there were concerns about Les Miles. He's not the same Les Miles. His press conferences are awkward. He's not as sharp or whatever. Kansas is losing a bunch of games. He's not the coach he once was, whatever. But there were obviously no indications that something like this at LSU and allegations from 2013 and this was going to become, I'd argue, the biggest story in the world, at least for one day, and probably deserved coverage more than that, although now the news cycle obviously turns over so much. I think anytime you have allegations like the ones that came out against Les Miles, and granted, he does deny a lot of them, but it's startling. I think the biggest thing is, even you can look at individual allegations against him and say, oh, that's bad, that's awful, he should be fired for that. But I think the big picture and then the collection and this idea that, according to people who worked with him and according to sources, who spoke to LSU, who spoke in these investigations, especially as reported on by USA Today, Miles was accused of creating a really toxic culture and environment, and not only creating it, but continuing to run things with that kind of culture, especially as it relates to women. So, just from that perspective, I was asked the other day by a friend of mine. He was like, do you think Les Miles could ever get another job in college football? And, maybe there's a lower level he could drop down to or something. But I honestly believe the answer is no. I don't even think it's, like I said, any individual incident. I think it's the collective nature of just, he's alleged to have employed people and utilized their skills and put them in positions based off body type and physical appearance and hair color. And there was the allegation that he referred to, the women on staff as AM girls and PM girls and stuff like that. And again, he denies a lot of it. And of course, that's his right to do so. But, at the same time, that's stuff that, is really dangerous and poisonous culture wise. And, like what a dichotomy that I think it was International Women's Day, in fact, that was the day he was ousted. And it was like, it's not, I'm sure that wasn't done on purpose, but it was just like the dichotomy or it's almost fitting in a way that, that would have been the day it went down.
So, Scott, why now? Why all of this and why just now? Because these are reports that have been, there are articles out there from 2012, 2013 where folks were talking about this. The athletic department at LSU, they were talking about this. Again, why now?
Yeah, well, I think the reporting by USA Today to unseal, I believe it was the Taylor Porter report, the first one, which came out on Thursday. I think that was the thing that put this in motion. Then LSU conducting its own investigation and then again releasing that. So I think there were more details. The specific allegations were outlined. You got, even though a lot of it was anonymous sourcing, but you obviously understand why it was anonymous sourcing. There were kind of more nailed down specifics, staff members talking out. You had the emails from former LSU AD Joe Oliva, basically saying, I think we should fire Les Miles for cause. I also think it's a different climate now. And by that, I don't mean, I'm not talking about like cancel culture or anything like that. I mean, we're more aware of things and people are more willing to look out for people, I guess, and care about this stuff, which is important because we obviously should care about this stuff. Although even in 2013, you could have made a great case that he should have been fired then, no matter how many games he was winning. And then the other part of this too, if Jeff Long is to be believed, Les Miles wasn't exactly forthcoming about this. People at LSU weren't exactly forthcoming about this. Now I'm a little skeptical because, Jeff Long does have a friendship with Les Miles. And not only that, Jeff Long was an athletic director in the SEC. And you think he would have the contacts to even not, if it's not figure this out, at least get some kind of a rumbling of something, especially because no one else hired Les Miles for the longest time. But, he didn't. And that's kind of where Kansas is today. Kansas is in this position now where, it's March and they're replacing their coach.
Wow. I want to ask you last question here, Scott, and thanks so much for the insight and input that you've brought. With this hire that now, I guess, as it sits, Jeff Long is prized to make, is there a short list as an analyst that you have built or names that you can come up with off the top of your head that you think, okay, these guys are either A, in the running or would be decent fits to try to keep this program on the right trajectory?
A little bit of both. I think one name that makes a whole lot of sense is Willie Fritz at Tulane. And he's a guy who's made sense for a while. He has local ties. He's been in the Kansas City areas. And just what he's done there. I think they've been bowl eligible a few years in a row after maybe it was like 1 year out of 13 they were bowl eligible before he got there. He's got that program now competing at a consistent level. And again, I think it's important to get someone who's established, able to recruit. A name I like that's kind of under the radar who has some kind of local support would be Kevin Kane. He's, I think, in Illinois now with Brett Bielema, actually, funny enough. And he took kind of a step down position-wise from defensive coordinator at SMU. He was successful there to be the linebackers coach and I think associate head coach. And the reason why is he felt it would further his career, get to work in a new conference, get to work with someone else, a new coach, and with the hope of becoming a head coach. Now, I think he's probably a more attractive option if you let him coach out the year. But he's a name that makes sense. And then, a local guy who has at least some support, although I don't necessarily think he's the best candidate or that he would get the job. But Ed Warner was just trying to get the offensive coordinator job or certainly had some interest there. When it came open for Kansas not long ago and they went with Mike DeBoard, this is a guy who was Kansas's offensive coordinator when they won the Orange Bowl, when the program, just a little bit over a decade ago was at arguably its peak or very close to its peak and was, quite frankly, 2 games away from going to the national championship, which is kind of crazy to think about. You can't say 1 game away because they would, I believe, then had to play in the Big 12 championship game. But, they were obviously right there. So just from that perspective, yeah, I mean, I think there are good names out there. I think there are names with interest, but again, Kansas has to be willing to pay for those, and whoever they do hire, they have to get it right.
Scott, thanks so much for joining the show today. And before we let you out of here, we got our Bear Games questions of the day, because we always do our little goofy spoofs toward the end of our segments with guests or callers. And today's Bear Games question of the day, how fitting, is how many years? What is your estimate? How many years until Kansas has a winning record in Big 12 play?
Wow, in Big 12 play, that's so much harder than overall, because I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that like 2023 would be a winning record, but in Big 12 play is another thing. So, gosh, I don't know. What year is this? This is 2021, so that would be 1 year. 2 years, 22, 5 years, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, maybe if this next hire goes well. It's hard to go 500 in Big 12 play, though. It's really tough.
It's optimistic. 4 or 5 years. We had someone said 826 earlier on the show.
Average it out. Average it out. It's 413. That's my answer.
That's something like that. Hey, Scott, thanks so much again for joining the show today and talking all things Kansas football with the situation there. Man, you Godspeed as a Kansas beat writer. Godspeed, and thank you for all that you do.
Thanks for having me.
Again, that was Scott Chasen, Kansas beat writer for 24/7 Sports via CBS Sports and co-host of The Drive. All right, when we come back, we got Scott Drew and Jared Butler talking a little bit of Big 12 tournament action coming up after this break. I'm Drake Toll, Armstrong Sims. This is Up Tempo.
It is March, and March is mad. Big dance time or not, things are already wild. To start, Notre Dame's Trey Wirtz hit a buzzer-beating three-pointer to erase a once 16-point deficit and knock off Wake Forest in round one of the ACC tournament 80-77. Elsewhere, Miami upset Pittsburgh 79-73. Duke dropped Boston College 86-51. Southeast Louisiana upset McNeese 71-68. Mount St. Mary's upset Bryant 73-68. Oral Roberts upset North Dakota State 75-72, and Houston Baptist routed Incarnate Word to notch a 80-68 upset. But even games that weren't upset were close, with Gonzaga trailing BYU 53-41 before pulling out an 88-78 win over BYU. And Gonzaga, Cleveland State, Oral Roberts, Mount St. Mary's, and Drexel officially punched their tickets to the tournament last night. And on the women's side, number 16 Gonzaga hit a buzzer beater to knock off BYU 43-42. And number 20 South Florida snuck past Wichita State 48-44. And the Big 12 tournament kicks off tonight at 5:30 with Kansas State facing TCU and Iowa State, Oklahoma to follow. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. It's been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountains?
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Paulie, give me some of your tots.
No, go find your own.
Come on, give me some of your tots.
No, I'm freaking starved. I didn't get to eat anything today.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Brian, don't be jealous that I've been chatting online with Dave all day.
Your place for a Baylor take on your lunch break. Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Penny Clinic Low T Bears Den.
The food, Tina.
The weather's warmer. Things just feel right in the world. It's cloudy today, a little bit of cloudy, a little overcast. 75 degrees right now in Waco, Texas, where we are. 101 Elm Street. That's my favorite part of the afternoon show, is the Mothership and 101 Elm, my two favorite parts.
By the way,
those right there.
In case you want to come find us, here's our address.
I guess we give our address out way too often, but hey, you know what? It's because we're just that kind. We're family oriented. We're fan oriented. We want to give you guys the best. So if we're not giving you the best, then you can just storm right through these doors.
That includes our address.
Then you can just take the Mothership. I wonder where that started.
I have no idea. It just started.
You know what this song reminds me of?
What?
The spring flower vibes that we have going on right here. We filled the vase. It's no longer an empty vase. We're going to keep those flowers there for a long, long time until they die. And then once they die, you best bet we're keeping them there anyway. I'm Drake Toll. That's Armstrong Sims. Here's what we got. Scott Drew and Jared Butler met with media ahead of the Big 12 tournament. Got about 10 minutes of highlights from that press conference where those two guys broke things down for us. Nalissa Smith, Big 12 Player of the Year, by the way. Also, Dick Vitale has released his national something. Jack sent me the Dick Vitale's 2021 All-American list. There's only one Baylor player on it, which is wow.
Out of how many spots?
Okay. Wow. Okay. Live. Breaking on Up Tempo.
He doesn't really have.
Dick Vitale's first team All-American list. Luka Garza, Ayo Dosunmu, Jalen Suggs, Cade Cunningham, and Corey Kispert. Is there a name missing from that list that should 1,000% be on that list? Has Dick Vitale not called like 7 Baylor games this season? 7 too many. Has he not?
He literally is. He's like a Baylor hater.
So that's his first team. Here's his second team. Drew Timme, Colin Gillespie, Trace Jackson Davis, Justin Champagny, and then Jared Butler. Jared Butler is number 10 on his list. He says, I truly wrestled where to put Butler going back and forth between first and second team. You can make a case for him on the first squad, but there were too many great players in college basketball this season. Timme could have been first team choice in another year. He has been that good too. Gillespie, sideline with torn MCL, whatever. Jared Butler. Wow. Not on the first team. On the last one listed on the second team. His third team, James Bouknight? Is that the guy that got hurt? Is that the guy that's been hurt like all season long? Who is this? He's from UConn. He has played in 7 games. Literally has played in 7 games, and Dick Vitale put him over Davion Mitchell or Maceo Teague or Mark Vidal. Then there's Marcus Zagorowski from Creighton. Look, I don't know college basketball like Evan Miyakawa does, so I don't even know how to pronounce some of these names. Kofi Coburn at Illinois. That makes sense. He's played 7 games. And Dick Vitale, baby, put him on top of Davion Mitchell. And I mean, just right there right there with Jared Butler. He's the player listed right behind Jared Butler. EJ Liddell, Ohio State. That makes sense. Sandro Mamukelashvili. That's the same guy that old Evan was talking about earlier. Yeah, he's 3rd team from Seton Hall. 4th team, Hunter Dickinson. Charles Basie from Western Kentucky. Evan Mobley at USC. I like Evan Mobley. I think that's low. Quentin Grimes, Houston. Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, Villanova. 5th team, Cameron Thomas at LSU. Julian Champagny at St. John's, the Red Storm. Chris Duarte, Marcus Carr, and Aaron Henry. If you're keeping tabs, that would mean that Villanova got multiple players on this list, and Baylor did not. Villanova, multiple players here, and not Baylor. Did Dick Vitale, help me. Somebody help me. More importantly,
this list?
Somebody help Dick Vitale.
I can't find this list.
To have not put 2 Baylor players, Davion Mitchell and Jared Butler. You're telling me that a guy, James Bouknight, I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah. He plays for UConn, and he's played 7 games this season.
7 games.
7 games this season, and Davion Mitchell is not above him on your All-American rankings. Davion Mitchell's not even on this list. 25 guys, All-American, 1st team all the way to 5th team. There are 5 different teams here. Player of the Year, Luka Garza. Okay, that makes sense. Luka Garza is probably winning the Naismith Player of the Year. Diaper Dandy of the Year. That's a real thing. This should give you perspective on what's going on in Dick Vitale's world. Yeah. Diaper Dandy of the Year, Cade Cunningham. Coach of the Year, Juwan Howard at Michigan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was Michigan not good last year?
Yeah, they were. They were very good.
Baylor was very good last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Baylor not win more games than Michigan this year?
Did they win more? I don't know. Did they play more?
Michigan went 19-3. Baylor went, 21-2? 21-1? 21-1? He says, Dick Vitale's explanation for Howard being Coach of the Year. There was a number of viable candidates in this wacky season. Howard took a team that was ranked 25th in the AP preseason poll and put them in the top 5 for most of the year. Michigan went 19-3. Listen to this part. Michigan went 19-3 despite many COVID-19 bumps in the road. Do you want to talk about COVID-19 bumps in the road as your reason that Juwan Howard should be your Coach of the Year? Are you not going to mention Scott Drew? Long stoppages without games or organized practices. This was just Juwan Howard's 2nd season as a head coach, and it was a great campaign. Yeah, great. It's 2nd season. Before I put Juwan Howard in there, I put Nate Oates in there. I love what Nate Oates did at Alabama. Completely unexpected. But to not have, not having Scott Drew, I feel like is a snub. That's a snub. But to not have 2 Baylor players on your All-American teams, not only that, to have Jared Butler in your 2nd team All-American, I get it. We're complaining about things that, can we really complain about it? Baylor's really good and whatnot. But, guys, come the flip on. Dick Vitale, man. Baby.
Yeah,
He's called a bunch.
He needs to get it together.
He's got to get it together. He's called a bunch of Baylor games this year. I don't want to give my opinion on Dick Vitale calling basketball games. I want to be an upstanding journalist and not give my opinion.
I used to be a Dick Vitale fan.
I did too. And maybe I still do. I'm going to leave that up to interpretation.
Okay.
Here's what we've got. Scott Drew, Jared Butler, press conference. Jared Butler breaks down. He's asked in this about not winning the Player of the Year award and how Baylor had some snubs in not just the Big 12 Player of the Year rankings, but also in other rankings out there that folks have put out. And I love his response. Check this out from Jared Butler.
Hey, Jared. Baylor's never won a Big 12 tournament. Is that some pretty big motivation there? Oh yeah. I think winning the first Big 12 championship regular season was enough motivation. I think that's going to carry us into the tournament. And, we don't want to lose a game. We're going to take the next game for what it is. And, we just try to go 1-0. That's it.
Do you feel like you guys are all the way back now physically, as a team cohesively after the COVID?
Yeah, I would say so. We're not perfect for sure, but I think our defense could get a little bit better. It hasn't been playing as what we want to. I think we made some strides last game against Texas Tech, but I don't think our defense is there quite yet.
Jared, how much conversation have you guys had? Great to see you again on the Player of the Year, the first team, second team, all of that. It seems like there's been a little chatter on social media, but what about you? And congratulations on the AP Big 12 Player of the Year. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it means a lot. I appreciate that a lot, and it just means a lot just for Baylor, and just thinking about me as a freshman coming to Baylor, not knowing what I'm getting myself into, having no expectations for how well I'm going to be or how good I'm going to be, and it just means a lot to come full circle how I ended up at Baylor and now AP Big 12 Player of the Year and like winning the Big 12 championship. Like it just comes full circle. And all these awards are just team awards. I wouldn't be here or got an award without my teammates. And y'all know the script. It's obvious how well my teammates just played with me and gave me confidence, coaches and everything. So it's been nice.
Was there much chatter among teammates on who did what or what was, I guess, awarded to who?
I think the most chatter was between Mark Votto and Davion about Defensive Player of the Year, but like I think they could have won co-Defensive Player of the Year, and either way it would have went. I think everybody would have been happy, so it doesn't really matter at this point.
And I know in response to Smoak's question, you do have a lot fueling you. But seeing how the coaches came down on Big 12 Player of the Year, has that added any extra motivation, or kind of how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, it definitely adds a little motivation. And I think it also lifts me from what other people are trying to say about me and what people think about me. Because, at the end of the day, I did all I could to win Big 12 Player of the Year, but, that shouldn't be my life focus. And I shouldn't be, persuade or my life generated by what people say about me. I think at the end of the day it's all good.
Jared, you talked about the Defensive Player of the Year. Davion, what's he like to go against even in practice? You guys kind of came in together the same year. What are those battles like?
It's really high level elite matchup. I remember my freshman year where I was like, man, I can't believe this is what I got myself into. I didn't think I was going to be able to play. I had more confidence going into the games than I did going into practice because I knew, nobody was as good as Davion. And I think that definitely came full circle how good I am today. And so I think now it's a lot more, it's a lot easier, and it's fair. It's more fair this time around their practice these days.
And you talked about maybe needing to improve the defense, but was this last game kind of an indication that this team is pretty close to being back to where you were?
Yeah, without a doubt. It was senior night, high emotion. Texas Tech is a good team. They played us close. They played really well against us, I feel like. And and we still were. It was comfortable. We got Mark Patterson in, Jackson Moffitt in. That's a good sign. But at the end of the day, it's we got another game. Another game in the Big 12. It's another Big 12 team. So yeah.
All right, that's all the time we have for Jared. We'll get Coach Drew up here. Jared, thank you.
Yeah, Coach Drew, the guy who didn't vote for me,
Coaches cannot vote for their own players.
Hey, Scott, I'm curious, kind of now that you're about a full year removed from that day, I guess it was March 13th, maybe way back 2020. What do you remember specifically about that day? Can you kind of take me through it just from your perspective and your team's perspective?
It moves so quick from the standpoint we're meeting, preparing to go to practice for a shoot around for the game that day. And then we get the call, there is no game, tournament's canceled. Going back to my room, talking to other head coaches across the country. What are you thinking for the NCAA? You have any ideas? You have any suggestions? and then boom, tournaments canceled. Trying to round up the guys to have one last team meeting, show appreciation for the seniors and everything they've done and accomplished, make sure we're set to get back, keep everybody safe. And it just, I heard some flashback from one station was doing like just sound bites of how everything transpired so quickly. And it really started with the news of when Rudy tested positive and the NBA suspended. And I think from there, everything just moved so quick.
Which coaches were you talking to? Do you kind of remember some of those conversations?
I talked to, I think Izzo, Jay Wright, Mark Few. Like we were trying to see different scenarios, ideas. Could we get 16 teams to Final Four site? Like just brainstorming ideas to try to have a safe NCAA tournament. And obviously, no one realized just how severe COVID was going to be.
Scott, you're up to number 4 in adjusted offense in the 5 games since COVID. How have you all played well offensively since returning from the pause?
Well, I think fresh legs, maybe he's helped with the shooting. Defensively, I think that's the area where we're still trying to get back to where we were at. But the one thing that coaches always talk about, fresh legs, and 3 weeks off will give you fresh legs. They'll also give you you get fatigued, but I think the shooting part of it is something that our guys are so experienced and spend so much time and know their bodies so well. When we were able to get in the gym and those that were able to do individual workouts, they stayed sharp in that area and not overdoing it, but making sure that they were ready to go. And again, I think our upperclassmen do such a great job of knowing what it takes for them to be at their peak performance. And that credit to them for being able to come back as quick as they have, especially on the offensive end.
Great. Thanks, Scott.
Scott, Davion's transition or transformation, I guess, from seemed like defensive only or mainly defense to now he's just as likely to, put up 20 or 30 as some of the other guys. Well, and that's what makes us a great team is just everyone's game continues to evolve and improve. And I think everybody's better all around. And first we were talking about Jared a second ago, and the area that he's most improved has been on the defensive end. And Davion was a tremendous defensive player, and now he's just as dangerous on the offensive end. So I think all our guys have continued to improve because of their work ethic. And Maceo, I heard a stat that person he was guarding was shooting 17% from the field this year. So, just across the board, everybody has worked hard to improve their game, which improves our team. And does he make other guys better, particularly on the defensive end? Because he's just annoying sometimes. Well, first and foremost, he sets the tone because he's out front, and you see someone playing hard, you play hard. The other thing is the more ball pressure, it's harder for teams to get into their offense. Very similar to a pass rush in football, right? If you're always after the quarterback, he's not as accurate. And if passes are off time, off target, they don't get as many good looks. And that allows people also to recover that are getting around screens or guarding other guys so they're not in long closeout situations.
Yeah, Coach, of all years, this year is not the best for you guys to have limited interaction with your fans. And when you came back from West Virginia, you were able to, be greeted by all of those fans. What did that do for you and your team kind of to give you some push here throughout the end of the season?
Well, I thought it was great that they waited for us and met us, and really meant a lot to me as the coach to see them support our players and recognize their hard work. So we achieved this together, and to be able to celebrate it with them, even though it was a short period of time because we wanted to make sure social distance, mask up, we moved quick, but it was really neat.
Yeah, Coach, first off, congratulations on your Coach of the Year honors. And just what do those mean to you in the first of what I'm sure are many?
Well, anytime any one of our players gets recognized or coach, we call them team awards, because if the team doesn't do well, no one gets any honors. From me personally, I like instead of coach of the year, I like staff of the year, because assistants do all the hard work. And if it wasn't for the players, coaches don't get recognized either. So blessed to have both. For our players that got recognized, again, great team honors, well-deserved. And what I really enjoy is in the Big 12, not only do we have just like the first team, but you have so many different honors and awards, because a lot of players do deserve to be recognized for the work they put in. And it's great, the different media honors out there, because again, the players work so hard, and when they're recognized by people who know what they're talking about, it's something that is a great thing. So I'm appreciative for all the media that voted and take their time to help recognize student athletes.
Yeah, and along those lines, you talk about these are team awards that they win, but does the fact that, maybe a guy like Jared doesn't win Big 12 Player of the Year, does that speak to just what a great teammate he is, knowing that he can dominate the ball, but doesn't, just because he wants to get the rest of his teammates involved, and maybe the numbers aren't the same?
Well, I think he did win a Big 12 Player of the Year with the media, and that's the one I'm going with. So, but again, I think a blessing for all our guys to be recognized, because it means people appreciate their hard work.
Hey, Jared. Baylor's never won a Big 12.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Car has the
trucks, man, they have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man, he has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
Welcome back to the Pickell and Glow T Bears Den. Drake Toll, Armstrong Sims, T-Rex on the Impact Health Labs caller line. T-Rex, I hate to tease you here, but we're out of time. We're out of time. You know what? T-Rex, you have 15 seconds and go. T-Rex? T-Rex?
Maybe. Oh, sorry, I was muted. I love y'all, and I will buy that 3-point foam hand. Just name a price. That's all I wanted you to know. Send me a DM. See ya.
Second Bears. Thank you, T-Rex. Celebrity birthdays!
He almost said Bigfoot. He is not Bigfoot.
He's not Bigfoot.
We've confirmed.
Thank you, Big T-Rex. Carrie Underwood. How old's Carrie Underwood today? Wait a second. Is that, yeah.
I'm going to be mean here. 45.
38.
Okay, yeah.
38. How old is, you can leave the music, I love it. How old is Hunter Biden the second?
50.
15. The second, junior.
Oh, the second.
Junior. Second. Olivia Wilde.
I don't know. 32.
37. Chuck Norris.
60.
81. I know.
81?
He's going to die soon.
Ah,
I know.
Chucky.
Emily Osment.
60.
29. Emily Osment from Hannah Montana.
I know. Don't know.
I know. Zach Levine.
40.
26. Are you watching the time?
Zach Levine. Yeah, I am. I don't have much.
John Hamm.
I'm just going to hit the outro.
John Hamm.
I don't know. 50.
Duh!
Really?
Prince Edward, Earl of Wessex.
70.
57. Guess what happened today? There's no Grand Nationals today. No Grand Nationals today. In what year 2 girls aged 8 and 6 became the first female weightlifters to appear on Iranian television after a protest?
What?
Yeah.
1987.
2018.
Yikes.
Yep.
Right, we're out of time.
Not yet, we're not. Oh, you know what that means. We're out of time.
Later, guys.
All right. I'm Drake Toll. That's Armstrong Sims. Thanks for hanging out with us today on Up Tempo. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. to do it all over. It'll be a Baylor basketball game day. This has been Up Tempo.